What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Wednesday. Making a turn on this week. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. Whether you're listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, at our website, sportstalk1051.com. You got the video streams, various video streams up and rolling. Or telling your Alexa device to say, "Yo, Alexa, play WAYY." However you're tuning in, a big thanks for making us a part of your start here this morning. What do we have on our game plan for us here? Brew Crew picking up a win last night against the Angels. Game one of this three-game series, a 9-2 victory for the Brewers. Freddie Peralta picking up his 17th win on the season, double-digit strikeout night for Freddie Peralta, uh, improving, as we said, improving his record to 17-6. Excuse me. It's 2.65 ERA, lowering that skosh there. But yeah, 10 strikeouts. Did give up the solo shot home run, just 2 hits overall, given up by Freddie Peralta, going 6 innings in that contest. Also, Christian Yelich. He had himself a night, 3 hits, including a 2-run shot that got him closer to a 30 and 100 season. He's sitting at 29 home runs and 99 RBIs, full RBIs for him last night. But and then Contreras also collecting a couple of RBIs for the Crew. 13 total hits for the Brewers offense last night. And they got on base 6 times via the walk. Sal Frelick getting on twice via the walk from the leadoff position. So with the win, the Brewers improved to at 92-59 on the season. And the magic number did go down a little bit, but maybe not as much as we'd ultimately like, because the Phillies completed a come from behind victory over the Dodgers last night, and the Cubs also picked up a victory as well. So if we're looking at it, the Brewers' magic number to clinch is for the division is 7. For the top spot in the National League is 11, it looks like. So for the number 4, magic number 4, to at least get a bye in the first round of the postseason. So game 2 of this series tonight, 6:40. We got Brewers going for the Brewers. We got Mr. Brandon Woodruff looking for his 7th win on the season. So we'll recap last night's game and preview tonight's game coming at you here in just a little bit. Talk a little bit more about Mr. Freddie Peralta. Talk a little bit more about Christian Yelich, and get you an update on some of the injuries, some bullpen reinforcements coming here, it sounds like, soon for the Brew Crew, just in time for the postseason, which we'll take that. No question about it. So, but we'll talk plenty of baseball, and with just 11 games left to go here in the regular season, it's ticking down. It's cutting down here. We're getting closer and closer and closer, baby. So we got that on the docket. We'll chat a little football. Packers should be returning to practice later on today in preparation of their game going up against the Cleveland Browns. Want to talk a little bit about the Pack. Even though the Browns 0-2 to begin this season, they do present a challenge for the Packers, especially in one area. We'll hit that up as well. But I want to talk a little bit about Jordan Love, too. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's more from a national thing, but I've seen it from Packers fans, too. No love for Love. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's not a ton of love for Love right now. I mean, not to say that he's not getting any from Packers fans or nation and that, but I mean, why do you think that is? Is it just because he hasn't necessarily won, anything yet, like a Super Bowl or an MVP or something like that? If you are a Packers fan, why, what are your trepidations maybe, or questions or concerns about Jordan Love? Because I look at and it's a small sample size, and I understand that and such. But I look at what Jordan Love has done in the first couple weeks, and while he doesn't have, let's say, over 600 yards passing and like 7 touchdown passes, I think he's put together a solid couple weeks here, and I just feel like I don't know, it's this vibe that I'm getting from some Packers fans, maybe from some of the national peeps out there about Jordan Love, and I thought this was an interesting uh, stats, analytic number, whatever you want to say. But you know, as we baseball's full of analytics and stats and that sort of stuff. Football is up there too, especially over the years with the emergence of like Pro Football Focus, DVOA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there's this one particular, and I saw Aaron Nagler post this. But there is one particular statistic, stat, analytical number called EPA, air EPA per play. Okay, so EPA is expected points added. All right, expected points added. It's, a football statistic that measures how many points a team or a player, in this case, we're going to look at it from the player standpoint, a player adds to their expected total on a given play-by-play basis. It considers the specific game situation, like down, distance, field position, to determine the efficiency of a play. Okay? So I know it's kind of confusing. I got to remind myself at times too, just to do some refreshers and stuff on that. But essentially, I mean, it's a lot of it is with this particular stat is without the yak. Okay, the air EPA with no yards per catch. If every pass was caught with no yards after catch. Okay, so Love throws it, Tucker Craft tackled right there. Essentially, it measures the significance of the throw, the quality of the throw, the quality of the play. Okay, without determining the yak. Jordan Love is the best in the National Football League right now. He's the best in the National Football League. The worst in the National Football League is actually Jalen Hurts. What does that kind of tell you? Maybe a little think and dunk, a little bit more of a shorter passing game, getting the ball in the hands of your playmakers and just letting them do a lot of the work. Ironically, Aaron Rodgers is next to Jalen Hurts, but it's just one of these analytical numbers out there that I think kind of tells you it's like, okay, Jordan Love is actually making some good throws without the advantage when you take away the yak part of it, the yards after catch. Jordan Love is making some really good throws. He's making some really good plays. But that's just one. I understand it. It's just one statistic. It's one calculation and such. But there's other ones out there too about Jordan Love that we'll hit up a little bit later on. But I'm genuinely curious if you are a Packers fan, or if you are if first of all, if you're a Packers fan that maybe you're not on the Jordan Love bandwagon, if you will. Why is it? Is it just strictly because it's still fairly early in his career? You want to see him win more and such? Or why do you think it is he doesn't maybe get love? Just to put it in again, this particular calculation, the EPA, air EPA per play, if every pass was caught with no yak, the league average is a 0.45. According to the statistic, Jordan Love has a 1. Worst is Jalen Hurts at a 0.04. Then it's Aaron Rodgers at a 0.08. So, again, just one of the examples out there that I thought was like, oh, okay. It tells you the quality of the throw to the receiver without the benefit of a yak. But I want to talk a little bit about that, talk a little bit about Packers returning to practice and kind of starting to take a look a little bit at this game coming up against Cleveland this upcoming week. It's also stock report day, so stock reports are due. Whose stock is up? Whose stock is down? All right, send me your picks. Hit me up with a text at 715-830-1912. Again, 715-830-1912. Or you can comment on the video streams if you'd like. So, or you can see the spam person that's commenting right now on our video stream. So, yeah, okay. Have fun with that one. All right, let's get things going here this morning, shall we? That's your lead off here. Let's jump right into it. Let's begin talking some baseball, though, with the Brewers as we get closer and closer to wrapping up this regular season. 9-2 victory for the Crew last night. Gained a little bit of ground in terms of clinching division, top spot in the National League, but did not get any help from the Phillies or the Cubs. Phillies come from behind victory to take down the Dodgers. Cubs taking down the Pirates yesterday. So maybe we'll get a little help here today. But the Brewers took care of their side of things, took care of their business. Yeli Peralta, he's 5 strikeouts away from another consecutive season of 200 Ks. Christian Yelich is 1 home run and 1 RBI away from having a 30-100 season. I want to talk a little bit about those dudes and talk a little bit more about Brandon Woodruff and his starts coming up tonight. So let's begin things this morning, talking some baseball. We'll take our first break and then get things going. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. When pain or injury slows you down, the team at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is here to help you get moving again. From sprains and fractures to joint replacements and sports injuries, they offer advanced care tailored to your needs. Their experienced doctors and therapists work with you every single step of the way, from diagnosis to recovery, so that you can get back to doing what you love to do. Convenient, compassionate, and focused on results, they're the experts in keeping you active. Also, before we get into a little baseball talk here, back to another question I want to throw out and discuss today with the pack. With 2 weeks into the season so far, who has been a player that has maybe, and let's take away Micah Parsons on this, but who has been a player that has maybe kind of like pleasantly surprised you? Now, maybe Micah Parsons isn't like, well, he should be good, but we know the impact that he's had right away. But kind of take him away, I guess. Who has been a player that has been a pleasant surprise, or maybe a little bit of an under the radar type of player that you're like, you know what? That guy has actually been playing well, and I don't think a lot of people realize it. Maybe it is Love. I got another name I'm going to throw to you later on, but I want to see if we kind of match up with some of our picks. All right, so again, text it to me, comment on the video streams, whatever have you. So, morning, Zach, on the YouTube video stream this morning. So, let's talk some baseball to open it up here. Brew Crew picking up a 9-2 victory last night, inching a little bit closer to clinching that division and clinching the top spot in the National League. By the way, according to our poll question, our Post Glass and Mirror 715 speaks poll question, 80% of you still believe that the Brewers will wrap this thing up with locking the number one seed down in the National League. Excuse me, spit it out, Dan, for crying out loud. 9-2 win last night. Freddie Peralta picking up his 17th win on the season. He improves to 17-6. Christian Yelich having himself a night as well, collecting 3 hits, including a 2-run shot, 3 RBIs. He is now 1 home run, 1 RBI away from having a 30-100 season. Freddie Peralta, by the way, with his 10 strikeouts last night, he is within 5 strikeouts of a third consecutive 200 strikeout season. Got to imagine. Remember last year, Pat Murphy kept him in, get that one, then yanked him after that. Got to imagine maybe that's going to be kind of a similar philosophy coming up here, depending on where things are at in the standings and such. But I mean, last night was an example of your two leaders paving the way and leading the way. Yeli, leader, specifically maybe position player, offensively, overall team leader. Freddie Peralta, no question, I think is the leader of this pitching staff right now, along with Brandon Woodruff. But Freddie Peralta is right now, all intents purposes, your ace of the staff. And those two were leading the charge last night. But you also had performances from, you had Contreras collecting a couple hits and a couple RBIs. Man, if he could, keep it rolling and such, that would be such a big boost heading into the postseason. To Caleb Durbin collected a couple of hits last night. Made a nice couple plays at third base. The emergence of Caleb Durbin at third base defensively has been a lot of fun to watch. The short hops and the picks over there. For a guy who has adjusted to go play third after spending the majority of his career second and short, the job that he has done at third, I think, is pretty impressive. And right now, what he has been doing from the plate in his last 15 games, he's hitting 300. And you break it down a little bit further, in his last 23 at-bats, Caleb Durbin is hitting .435, slugging .652, an on-base percentage of a .519. So far on the season, Caleb Durbin is at 11 home runs, 50 RBIs, 16 stolen bases, hitting .264, an on-base of a .338, and an OPS of a .741. Caleb Durbin, he is going to get some attention for Rookie of the Year. He's probably going to get some votes, not first place votes or anything like that, but you know how baseball works, right? You get your second, third, fourth place votes. He's going to show up on some ballots there. Isaac Collins is probably going to finish higher than him in terms of the Brewers lineup and such, but he's going to get some attention. There's no question about it. And he has exceeded my expectations so far this season with his play. He's been better than I thought. And he has been one of the many, many, many reasons why this team is in a position that they're currently in. You had Andrew Vaughn collecting a couple hits last night for the Brewers. Andrew Vaughn looking at what he has done in his last 50 at-bats. That's your last 15 games for Andrew Vaughn. 360. Break it down to his last 21 at-bats, 476. Numbers like that, Rhys Hoskins ain't going to be cracking the lineup anytime soon. 13 total hits for the Brewers last night. Got on base 6 times via the walk. A couple of them coming from your leadoff man, Mr. Salvatore Frelick. But back to Freddie Peralta here quick. I mean, the season that he has been putting together, 17-6, a 2.65 ERA. You know, if Paul Skeens wasn't doing what he's doing and such, and maybe, you know, with, you know, he plays on a Pittsburgh team that is just, you know, but it does help that his name is Paul Skeens and his name's out there and he's more of a popular pitcher and such. Paul Skeens is most likely going to win the Cy Young Award, but part of me just wonders at any point, any other year, would Freddie Peralta get that Cy Young Award? Would he get that Cy Young Award with the numbers that he's been throwing out there? And the fact that he's the quote-unquote ace for the number one team in Major League Baseball. I have to imagine that maybe any other year, he probably would. I wouldn't say it's a guarantee, but maybe get a little bit more attention, maybe climb those odds a little bit more. Again, kind of like some of the Rookie of the Years for the Brewers. Freddie Peralta is going to show up on the Cy Young ballot. He's going to get some votes, probably like some second or third place votes. But you just wonder any other year, or, you know, I feel like he's still kind of not getting enough attention from the national peeps out there. And I get it. Freddie Peralta, he's not perfect. He's got his ups and downs, and the pitch counts. We've talked about it how many times? It's the pitch counts. He doesn't rack up a lot of innings, but he racks up a lot of pitches. And that's not going to change at all this year. Maybe that's something Freddie Peralta can go change later on, still continue to develop, still continue to work at. And once he does that, and I think would be very close to a all-around solid starting pitcher. I should say solid, a very good solid, or see, I said it again, a very good starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. And I don't know if he's going to win it or not. But the season that Christian Yelich is putting together, I think he's going to get some looks at it. Comeback Player of the Year. The interesting part in the Yelich thing is when he got hurt last year, right after the All-Star break, I mean, he was a starter in the All-Star game, and he was hitting over 300. So I wonder how many voters would vote Yelich because they're like, well, you know, he did play half the season. He was a starter in the All-Star game. He was hitting over 300 before he went out. Does that really qualify for Comeback Player of the Year? I think he should at least get some attention for it. Now, I would also argue he's probably got a teammate that should get some attention for that, and that would be Brandon Woodruff. But when you look at it from pure power standpoint, yeah, sure. We'd all like to see maybe Christian Yelich's batting average be a little bit higher. I mean, it's not going to be as high as what it was during his MVP seasons, but the fact that he is probably going to be a 30 and 100 player this year, is going to garner some attention, and it's going to garner probably some votes for comeback player of the year. But when you look at this team and the talk about, hey, they lack power, hey, they don't, they play a lot of small ball net. It's been, the one guy that we have wanted to see that power come from, it's been from Christian Yelich. And I have to imagine these next 11 games, he's going to get that one more home run, knock on wood, not jinxing it. He's going to get that one more RBI again, knock on wood, not going to jinx it. It's probably going to happen. And it's pretty awesome to see. It's pretty remarkable to see too, the season that he's been able to put together. When you look at last year, he played in 73 games. He had 21 stolen bases last year. Just 16 this year. And let's be real here. It's probably because of the back surgery that he had last year, maybe not wanting to push it too much this year. Get it, understand it, right? But this is the last time that we saw Christian Yelich hit at least 30 home runs. You got to go to 2019. The last time we saw Christian Yelich have at least 100 RBIs, you got to go to 2018. He probably would have had it in 19 if he didn't get hurt. He had 97 RBIs then, 44 home runs and 97 RBIs. 44 flipping home runs for Christian Yelich. Man, that still is just like, wow. Seems like decades ago. But that's the last time. That's why this 30 and 100 is so such a, impressive benchmark here for Christian Yelich, because it's been a hot minute. It's been a while. It's been since his MVP seasons, for crying out loud. Yeah, his average is 267. Last year was a 315. The year before that was a 278. His on-base percentage is a little bit down. His slugging down compared to last year. His OPS is at an 813. Last year was a 910. The year before that was 817. His strikeouts, he's at 157. He is on pace to strike out more this season than he did any other season in his career. His highest was 2022 when he struck out 162 times compared to 2018. He struck out 135 times. In 2019, he struck out 118. That 2019 season, I know that wasn't his MVP season, but man, if he would have finished off that thing, you're talking about a guy that might have had 50 home runs, over 100 RBIs, and you're talking about at least 30 stolen bases, because he had 30 before he was stolen. There's a big what if. What if? And it's hard not to look at, man, did that injury, that kneecap injury, how it kind of just derailed his career for a couple of years. Man, son of a gun. All right, let's talk a little bit about Brandon Woodruff and his start tonight. Looking ahead to game 2 of this series. A lot of you already chiming in here for the Packers, for the Packers question. So let's keep those coming. The player, I kind of threw out a couple of them, and we'll hit that up coming up in the next hour. I kind of threw a couple of them at you, but that's fine. A couple of them. Jordan Love. Why is it that he doesn't get the love that maybe he probably deserves, if you think that? Whether you are a Packers fan or not, I'm curious to get the perception from everybody. But also, who is the player? Who is the player that has maybe kind of surprised you the most in these first couple of weeks? Maybe pleasantly surprised you so far. All right, text it on over or comment on the video streams. I want to talk a little bit about Brandon Woodruff, game 2 of this Angel series, coming at you tonight. Coming up after these quick words. When it comes to glass, Post Glass and Mirror Chippewa Falls does it all. From replacing a cracked windshield to custom glass for your home or business, their work is precise and built to last. They handle shower doors, mirrors, window repairs, and commercial glass projects with the same attention to detail every single time. Team is professional, friendly, and committed to getting the job done right. For quality glass work of any kind, Post Glass and Mirror is the place to call in Chippewa Falls. Game 2 between the Brewers and the Angels tonight, and we get if we got Freddie last night, we get Brandon Woodruff on the mound tonight for the Brew Crew. Soriano is going for the Angels. A little bit of experience, not really anything to write home about. Again, kind of similar to the pitching matchup from last night here. But both sides, a little bit of experience. But when you look at Jose Soriano for the Angels, he's 10-10 with a 4.13 ERA in 30 games started. He is coming off of a no decision against Seattle back on the 11th, 4 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. Before that was a loss against the Athletics, where he went just 2 1/3 and gave up 5 hits, 8 earned runs, walked 5 guys. But before that, against Houston, when he picked up the win, he went 7 innings, giving up just 1 hit, no earned runs, and struck out 8. When you look at what has he done overall here, I mean, August overall was a pretty darn good month, 3-1 with a 3.81 ERA. July was solid, 2-3, but a 2.75 ERA. So it's almost like, what version of Soriano are you going to get with him tonight? And then on the flip side, we already know about Brandon Woodruff, right? I mean, I'm looking at his final couple of starts here in the regular season, hoping to see some, stacking some success and getting some momentum and carrying that into the postseason here. But he's going to be looking for his 7th win, 6-2, 3.32 ERA in 11 games started so far this year. He's coming off of a win against Pittsburgh back on the 6th. So he's had some time off here. That's what the Brewers have been doing with a lot of their starters, getting them some extra days here. But 6 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 8 Ks. And that's coming off of one of his worst games of the season back on the 31st against Toronto, where he went 4 1/3, giving up 10 hits and 5 earned runs. So excited to see, what we see from Brandon Woodruff, but also just kind of, as we get closer and closer to the postseason here, maybe getting a little bit of momentum and carrying that into the postseason here. Magic number has dwindled a little bit with the Brewers' win from last night, but the Cubs also picked up a win. The Phillies also picked up a win. So it dwindled down just a skosh here. Magic number for the Brewers to clinch the division's at 7, to clinch the top spot in the National League is at 11, to clinch a bye in the postseason is at 4 right now. So, but again, as we kind of mentioned, not a whole lot to kind of look at with these pitching matchups and experiences. I mean, you got Jansen's got 1 career at bat, Vaughn's got 4 against Soriano on the flip side, Moncada's got 9 career at bats against Brandon Woodruff. That does include a home run. So other than that, a couple guys with a couple of ABs going after him. So, but this is, this is got a little playoff feel to it. You got to get these wins, keep the pace. You're getting chased right now by the Phillies and the Cubs. You're the chase, or you're not the chasey, but I mean, you're got guys on your butts. You got teams on your butts right now trying to catch up to you and overtake you. So you're getting pushed as long as the Brewers keep pushing forward. And again, they have the right mindset. It's like Yelich. I mean, this has kind of been the philosophy that this team has had throughout this whole season. It's a Pat Murphy philosophy, but it's just focusing on one game at a time, focusing on what they control. They control their destiny. They control everything in front of them. Not the Cubs, not the Phillies. It's themselves, and they have to take it by a game-by-game approach. Yelich, after the game last night, saying, we just need to focus on winning that night and not even think about the magic number, which, yeah. Peralta says, I don't like to check numbers, but unfortunately I saw when he was talking about his Strikeouts, sometimes I try to avoid that, but there's people around always talking about it. It's nice. Yelich, too, about his 30 and 100 potential season. You're aware of a couple of the numbers just from being in the stadium. You just keep your head down and do what you're supposed to do during the game, and everything else kind of takes care of itself. You don't really chase that stuff. So, but looking ahead, the Brewers could very well, I mean, soon get a trio of relievers back in their bullpen. We're getting close. Nick Mears, he's getting close to returning. Trevor McGill getting close to returning. So, well, but the one thing about Trevor McGill that Pat Murphy said about him is he was originally targeting a return to action for yesterday, but he did what the club is saying have minor soreness during a live batting practice session. Pat Murphy said it's a little concerning. Hopefully it's not the case, or hopefully it's not the case where he's going to, miss more time in that, but hopefully the key word there, minor, won't keep him out too long. And then DL Hall. Potentially coming back. He said he wants to be pitching against Cincinnati. I don't know if that's going to happen just because that's really fast. I want to be able to help the team, and the best opportunity to set me up for that is if I can get back in the regular season for at least one outing. So it's kind of where things stand right now. But that trio of bullpen arms are looking to return before the playoffs, try to get some work in the regular season before the postseason starts so they could be contributors. It'd be nice to get those guys back, especially McGill. I mean, that's your all-star closer. Hopefully it's nothing serious with the minor soreness, but you'd love to be able to get him back. Obviously, Nick Mears. I mean, Nick Mears has been your high-leverage guy. He has come in some big moments this year for this Brewers team and some very difficult situations in various innings, inheriting runners on base, getting out of those jams. And then DL Hall is kind of like another Aaron Ashby. He's a guy that's got starting experience, but he can give you some length. He can give you multiple innings. Provides that versatility in the pen. If you have a shorter starts, you could go to him and he can eat you a couple innings. Similar to Aaron Ashby in a lot of aspects. And that's a huge bonus to have that flexibility in the bullpen. I mean, if the Brewers could enter the postseason with all their guys intact in the bullpen, man, that's such a unique pen because of the different options they have in there. I mean, you've got Trevor McGill, who's an all-star closer. You have Abner Uribe, who, yes, he still makes me nervous at times, but he has been more times than not lights out and fantastic. You have a Nick Mears. He's kind of your high leverage guy. You've got a couple guys in that pen, depending on what the or who they're going to carry. You're going to have options in there that, if you throw in Tobias and you throw in an Aaron Ashby and you throw in a DL Hall, guys that can give you some length. The Robert Gasser stuff has kind of calmed down a bit. You haven't heard him too much or the possibility about him coming up and providing some bullpen help. I don't know if they throw in Mizorowski into the bullpen. When it comes to the postseason, it's going to be 4 starters potentially. But, in that first series, it might be 3. We'll see if the Jose Quintana one kind of throws a little bit of the wrench in there. But I think your top 3 are clearly Freddie Peralta, Quinn Priester, and Brandon Woodruff. If they want to go with the 4-man rotation, lots going to depend on Quintana, I think. If Quintana's okay, ready to go, he's going to be in the postseason. Kind of sounds like it's going to be Quintana, then Mizorowski comes out of the pen. If not, maybe the Miz is another starter in that 4-man rotation. But you're not going to see the 5-man rotations when it comes to the postseason. At least I don't think they will. It seems like the Brewers right now are kind of setting that up by giving some extra off days to some of their starters here so that when it is postseason time, they can go with that regular day off, kind of push, or days off, push the envelope a little bit. Because it seems like I mean, for crying out loud, the perfect example is Brandon Woodruff. Last time we saw Brandon Woodruff was back on the 6th. They're giving them some extra days off to try to keep them a little bit fresher when it comes to the postseason. So, all right. Let's take a quick break here. We'll wrap up the first hour. Get back to some more of your comments, some more of your texts here. So we'll do that coming up after these quick words. Hy-Vee in Eau Claire makes grocery shopping simple. You'll find fresh produce, quality meats, a full-service deli, and bakery with something for everyone. There's a wide selection of everyday essentials and plenty of ready-to-eat options when you are short on time. And if you're planning a special meal or you just want to unwind, their wine and spirits department has a great variety from local craft beers to fine wines and top-shelf liquors. Don't forget, grab yourself a 6-pack of Man Cave Light over there. It's everything you need in one stop, whether you're planning a big meal or just picking up a few things. See the difference today by shopping at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. A few texts. Living a Dream Jeff says, Morning Dan, Kraft is playing very well when I thought Musgrave would have been on the field a little more. Everyone on the defensive line, I was a little skeptical with the trade losing Clark. So far, looking as good as I've seen in a long time. Still early, but reminds me of the 96, 97 D line. C-Bomb says, my surprise is Edrin Cooper. We all knew he was a great player, but what he's done has been Ray Lewis-like. He's already a quarter of the way to his total tackles from last year, only 2 games in. He's all over the field. He tackles downhill. Highs aren't getting hit and falling. Highs aren't getting hit and falling forward for 3 to 4 yards. Yes, we expected big play from Coop, but this is elite linebacker play, I think that's supposed to say, and he's fun to watch. He is a true leader of that defense. Jeremy says Devontae Wyatt and the entire defensive line has completely surprised me. When they traded Kenny Clark, I was nervous, but they have stepped up with excellent run defense and have gotten pressure on the quarterback too. Zach says Nixon has really impressed me so far. Just the improvement from week 1 to week 2 was impressive. So I'll get to my pick coming up in the just past the top of the hour here. So, but I think the number that I'm going to show or throw to you regarding this particular player may surprise you. It surprised me. It surprised me. So, who has been the Packers player in the first just 2 weeks of the season that has pleasantly surprised you with their play? Also, I want to talk a little Jordan Love coming up in the next hour. Why no love for Love? Why no love for Love? If you're a Packers fan, why no love for Love? Why, or if you are a Packers fan that is giving love to Love, why do you think people are not giving Love any love? All right, give me your input. Give me your insights and analysis. We'll hit that up coming up in the next hour as well. It's a stock report Wednesday, so whose stock is up, whose stock is down? Send those on over, and we'll get to those coming up a little bit later on. Reminder too, starting tomorrow, we'll do some fantasy football chats. We got Eric Balkman joining, so if you have any questions with your fantasy football leagues, send those over ahead of time so we can get those to Eric. Couple minutes to the top. Good morning, Morgs.
How's it going, Kasper?
Good. How are you?
Speaking of fantasy, if you have to choose with mascots, do you like animal mascots or do you like elements, like the tornadoes, or the thunder, or do you tend to have a preference?
I guess I don't.
What about
you should, if you want to get into that, you should listen to RIP, former college football coach Mike Leach.
Oh yeah, what do we have there?
He breaks it down in the so Mike Leach was awesome. He passed away a couple years ago, but he goes in depth. I think it was when he was the former Pac-12 with mascots.
Really? Oh, that'd be fascinating.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
Okay.
You need to look up Mike Leach and mascots.
Okay.
Because he talks about, USC Trojans. He's like, well, it depends. Does the Trojan have a sword? Does he have his horse?
Okay.
He's like, Stanford's a tree. That could just be chopped down.
Okay, so we'll think about locally, because Osseo Fairchild went from the Chieftains to the Thunder. I mean, and the Thunder is kind of fun. But then you go to some places and you're like, really? I mean, not to call anyone out and mascot or moniker bash here, but some are better than others.
Oh, yeah.
We're Bulldogs, and I'm like, okay. Like there are, other Bulldogs in the area. I know Tech has Bulldogs and stuff, and obviously Georgia on the collegiate level and whatnot. But is there a favorite? And I know it gets fun, like when you get into the bananas. And I know in Macon, Georgia has a team called the Macon Whoopie. So there are different opportunities for it. But do you have a favorite?
In Wisconsin?
Yeah.
There is. Is it Kalkana? Is it the Ghosts?
Oh, really?
I think so.
Okay.
Let me.
Because they were also talking about launching, and this isn't the first time the conversation has come up, but like with the Milwaukee Bucks, the women's team would be the Milwaukee Does. That's been in and out of conversation for a while now in terms of like launching a professional basketball team for women here in the state that would be adjacent to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, it's it's Kakana Ghosts.
Okay, that's not a bad one.
Whose mascot is the Galloping Ghost.
Anybody picked up Bigfoot or the Squatch yet, or the Yetis? Because I know they were going to. There was a team that was kicking around the Yetis that did not go through.
For hockey, for the
No?
NHL, no.
Oh,
Because
see, that would be a good one.
because of this, they
The
were
brand right there on
Mhm.
your mug.
Yep.
Yeah, I can
Yep.
see that.
Yep.
See, if anything, team up, pair up.
Yeah. I know, that'd be like the perfect sponsorship
Yeah.
marketing one. But this is really quick, one of the lines from, Mike Leach's speech
Yeah.
talking about Arizona State Sun Devils. You have to get some of those Harry Potter activists to read up on how you kill a Sun Devil because there's a lot of outside stuff there. Because he's trying to figure out who would win a Pac-12 mascot battle. So.
How fun is that? What did he end up coming up with? Did we have Leach ever make a final call on
I'd
who would
have
win
to.
it?
I can't remember. It's just, man, it was.
That's a
Mike
fun
Leach is awesome
because
so.
you could almost
He's
do
a big Bigfoot guy too.
You could do a fantasy league thing with mascots almost, kind of a bracket system for the mascots to take them down.
Yep.
Because the Kraken, I mean, I'm not even a huge hockey fan, but I think the Kraken's
That's
kind
why
of a fun.
they're my favorite hockey team.
Yeah, because of the mascot.
The name. Yeah.
Sometimes you got to go.
Yep. All right, second hour kicking off right now on this Wednesday morning. We got stock reports due. Who's your stock risers? Whose stock is up? Whose stock is down? All right, hit us up with a quick text at our Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. I got just the mic or the headset. Got a weird echo, so if I sound weird there for a little bit. Apologize because I'm hearing myself kind of weird there. So we'll get to that coming up a little bit later on. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk as well. The Brew Crew going for another win tonight with Brandon Woodruff on the mound. Game 2 of this series with the Angels. First pitch is at 6:40. You can check out the game at the radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Coverage will begin at about 6:05 with the pregame 35 minutes before first pitch. Brewers, magic number to clinch the division. Getting a little bit closer. Didn't get help from the Phillies or the Cubs last night because they both picked up wins. But the magic number to clinch the division, 7. Clinch the top spot in the National League is 11. Clinch at least a bye in the first round is at 4. So we'll get back to more baseball talk coming up just a little bit later on here. Packers will return to practice today as they get set for their matchup against the Browns on Sunday. Been asking, who do you think has been the player that has been a nice, pleasant surprise so far for you through just the first 2 weeks? I know it's really early yet, but kind of been a pleasant surprise for you in the first 2 weeks of the season. All right, we've gotten a bunch of names out there. Surveyor Sam texted in saying, biggest surprise so far has been Rome. That man has been playing with his hair set on fire and with emotion. You can just tell when he's fired up, the entire team is ready to go. Don't stop, Rome. Play your butt off and get that payday. Definitely have been seeing Romeo Dobbs playing with a lot more emotion this year for whatever reason. I mean, that guy he's playing with a ton of emotion this year. The guy that I'm gonna say that I'm pleasantly surprised, and when I saw this ranking, I was like, "Oh, okay." Would not have expected that. I'm going Keyshawn Nixon. According to Pro Football Focus, he leads all cornerbacks. Or he's tied for the top Pro Football Focus grade in all cornerbacks, tied with Sauce Gardner, 85.2. 85.2. Keyshawn Nixon. For a guy who wanted to be the number one corner, for the position group that we were kind of wondering, I don't know. His coverage grade, according to Pro Football Focus, tops in the NFL. Pass breakups, tops in the NFL, the most in the NFL. Keyshawn Nixon, I think through the first 2 weeks, he's kind of billing up to wanting to be that number one corner, and he's billing that up if you look at the Pro Football Focus grades. So, I mean, you got to give him, coverage grade, 88.2. That's higher than Sauce Gardner. That's higher than anybody in the league. In fact, his run defense is probably the one that he could improve on. He's a 60.4. There were Sauce Gardner's a whopping 77.9. But how about this too? I'll throw in this player as an honorable mention, and I'm going to go with Carrington Valentine. Carrington Valentine is 7th on this Pro Football Focus list. 7th highest graded cornerback in the entire National Football League. His coverage grade too, it would be top 5, it looks like. So I put the 2 corners for Green Bay. Keyshawn and Carrington Valentine. We just finally got to see Hobbs in the second game of the season against the Commanders. But through the first 2 weeks, I'd put those 2 guys up there. But Keyshawn Nixon probably gets it for me because I'll be honest, when we opened up the season and all off season and we said, okay, what's, the player position group that kind of worries you? And I threw out Keyshawn Nixon because you look at the wide receivers on the schedule that this team's got to go up against. We've gone through a couple of them already with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Williams with the Lions. You throw in Debo and Terry McLaurin with Washington. Jerry Jeudy coming in, or I guess we're going to his house this weekend. After that, it's CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. You got the Eagles under with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Obviously, the Vikings with Justin Jefferson. You throw in the Bears with the DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a ton of really good wide receivers that Keyshawn Nixon is going to be tasked to go up against. And the fact that the first 2 weeks of the season, he is grading out this high from a pro football focus standpoint is super impressive to me. And then my honorable mention, I'm throwing Carrington Valentine in there. Because again, I just that stat after week 1 when they gave up the garbage time touchdown, that was only in his career. Second touchdown he's allowed. And it was an insane catch. Insane catch. That to me is just, boy. Back to that Washington game, because there's going to be some people too with the Lions game. And yeah, I mean, it probably some people are like, really? He graded out that well? Look at the Lions game, maybe gave up some plays in that, but he bounced back incredibly well in that game against Washington. 6 targets, 1 catch allowed, 9 yards allowed, 5 pass breakups, a 39.6 rating when targeted, 1 yard of average separation from targeted receivers. That's numbers from Next Gen Stats. Completely flying under the radar, I think, so far. The Jordan Love talk now. So, and we're going to dive into this in a little bit more detail coming up here, but a couple of you chiming in. Why does Love not get love? Jason earlier said Jordan Love is a great person, a great teammate, and I'd say leader, but not a great quarterback. His accuracy just isn't as good as top-tier quarterbacks. There's been throws this season. If he would have hit the receivers in stride, I think they would have gone for touchdowns, but the receivers had to stop or slow down to get them. Living a Dream Jeff says Love's footwork still puzzles me. Awesome when he steps into the throw and looks like a Hall of Famer, but he definitely is not accurate throwing off his back foot. So the no love for Love is on his shoulders. Fundamentals are the key to him becoming the talk of the NFL. Zach says, I'm a big fan of J Love, but I think what fans want to see is maybe consistency, as he's had the injuries last year and the year before, that he got hot in the second half of the season. I guess I'm going to play a little devil's advocate here. And I think through the first 2 weeks of the season, Jordan Love is not getting enough credit for the play that he's had. By the way, C-Bomb, I missed your text on Love. Probably not getting love for Love because he's doing what we expect of him. I wouldn't say he's carrying the team, but for the amount he's been paid, he's been playing very well, and that is to be expected. I think Jordan is making excellent decisions. He's getting away with a couple bad throws, but most quarterbacks do. I think the love for Jordan will happen if it's a fourth quarter comeback win against the Eagles and not defensively dominated games against Detroit and Washington. I'm going to throw out some of these numbers. So I threw one of them out a little bit earlier, and I get it. It's just one statistic. It's probably a little bit of a weird one, but it's the EPA. Okay, so you're probably like, dude, what the heck is an EPA when it comes to football? It's one of those numbers that somebody came up with, probably in their basement. I don't know, but it's essentially expected points added, a stat that measures how much a team's score is changed by a play. And for this one, for Jordan Love, it's air EPA per play if every pass, EPA pass, if every pass was caught with no yards after catch. The yak, right? The yak. Jordan Love is tops in the NFL. What does that tell you? That tells you his throws. His throws without the yards after catch, his accuracy, is tops in the National Football League through the first 2 weeks. If every pass was caught with no yak, and remember EPA, the definition, expected points added, Jordan Love is tops. The league average is a 0.45. Jordan Love is at a 1. The quarterback with the worst, the two quarterbacks with the worst. Jalen Hurts, 0.04. Aaron Rodgers, 0.08. Those are the worst. A lot of dinking and dunking probably in there. A lot of maybe shorter passes. And again, it's just one example because maybe the philosophy for like a Jalen Hurts and such, hey, let's get the ball in the playmakers' hands and let them make plays. Get that. Totally get that. Totally understand it. But here's some more numbers about Jordan Love here. Okay? Just to put it, his intermediate throws, that's 10 to 19 yards through the air. Okay? Adjusted completion percentage, 75%. Yards per attempt, 13.4. Passer rating, 156.3. His passer rating from a clean pocket, the best in the National Football League right now, 151.7. The best with a clean pocket. Just a few more numbers out there. He leads the NFL with 13.3 air yards per attempt. No other quarterback is beyond 10. The highest passing grade in the NFL per Pro Football Focus, Jordan Love is 4th. Quarterbacks ahead of him, Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott, Sam Darnold, and then Jordan Love. You look at efficiency per play. According to Pro Football Focus, Jordan Love, one of the tops, higher than Josh Allen, higher than Matthew Stafford, higher than Dak Prescott, higher than Joe Burrow, higher than Justin Herbert. The Pro Football Focus grading and efficiency EPA per play. I mean, if you're a believer in some of these numbers and some of these rankings and grades, right now in the first 2 weeks, Jordan Love is playing some really good quarterback play. And one of them is his deep ball. Again, take away the yaks. The placement of the football is what's driving a lot of these grades, numbers, and statistics. Hell, if you really want to go down a rabbit hole here and you compare Love to Aaron Rodgers in their first 35 regular season starts, they're both over 9,000 yards passing. Rodgers has 9,800 yards passing. Love, 9,006. Total touchdowns, Love 69, Rodgers 73. Interceptions, Love 25, Rodgers was 23. Passer rating, 96.2 for Love, 98.1 for Rodgers. Record, Love 20-15, Rodgers 19-16. I mean, there's a lot. And there's more I can go into, but probably boring you to death with these weird numbers and such. I'm obviously in the minority in this, but I think Jordan Love in the first 2 weeks of the season has been playing really well. Yeah, he's missed a couple throws. He's made a couple poor decisions. So does Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes missed a wide open dude down the field in that game against Philadelphia. Patrick Mahomes does it too. Yes, they have to hit those throws, and I'm not trying to excuse Love for that or anything like that, but it happened. Love isn't the only one. Other quarterbacks do too. But I honestly feel like he has been off these first 2 weeks. Long season left to go here. I do think he kind of unfairly gets criticized a lot in some aspects. And I get it. Playing the quarterback position is playing the quarterback position in Green Bay is the bar set high. It's incredibly high because in the last 30 plus years, we're used to high level play. I understand it comes with the territory, but I also feel like it's been, at least the first couple of weeks, pretty solid quarterback play, in my opinion. So, all right, let's take a quick break. We'll have some more Green and Gold talk. We got more Brewers talk coming up here as well. Let's talk some, give me your Brewers. No, give me some more Packers players. All right, give me some more who are flying under the radar. Coming up this Sunday, it's our first ever Packtoberfest at the VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue in Eau Claire. Fun starts at 9 a.m. VFW Post 305 is going to have their breakfast buffet going on. We'll do a special Green Bay pregame show from 10 to 11. We'll have some giveaways, a Stein holding contest as well for some prizes, plus the first 35 for the tailgate party will receive a complimentary Oktoberfest beer from Sam Adams. So, plus big thanks to our friends Mike Star Market. They've got some brats on that breakfast buffet as well. So, you can check it out this Sunday, Packtoberfest, coming up. This Sunday starting at 9 a.m. We'll talk a little bit more green and gold here this morning. We've got more texts come in. Wearing the wrong T-shirt. I've given you sports talk tees. I don't think I've ever seen you wear one, nor anybody in this building I've given sports talk tees wear them. So
it was dirty. I apologize.
Okay, well, do some laundry. All right, do some laundry. Give some love to the sports talk station once in a while. Come on, guys.
I love Sports Talk 105.1.
All right.
And here's the thing: most people don't even know what the calls are. They just call it Sports Talk 105.1.
Mm-hmm.
It's WAYY.
Way.
How are you?
I'm fired up right now because
I get this. And it was good stuff what you were talking about.
I'm getting more. I don't get the hate for Jordan Love. I don't understand it. I think he's had a really good first couple of weeks of the season.
Look, you delivered the stats that need to be delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you were talking about that earlier. And again, I've used this quote before. We'll use it again. Statistics are like a bikini.
Mm-hmm.
What they reveal is suggestive. What they conceal is vital.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is that Jordan Love is a winning NFL quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I would say there's probably maybe 5 or 6 quarterbacks that I would take ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most objective fans would probably agree with that. I mean, again, I've seen him most of the rankings. If I were to do a consensus around where I see him, I usually see him between anywhere from 7 to 11.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so can we all agree as Packer fans? He's a top third in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've got that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the sample size, I think you and I talked about this too. This year was going to be a defining year for him.
Yep.
This season is a defining season. And right now, Green Bay is 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
When you threw some of the stats out, yards per attempt, and some of the more obscure stats,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I will use that term. He's
like
doing
the EPA one,
right,
sort of thing.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And again, I think those are actual stats that a lot of teams look at,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of coaches look at. And so, yeah, I don't get it, but I think also it just goes back to when you go from Favre
mm-hmm.
to Rodgers, the expectations and what Love did in the second half of the season in 2023. I think you combine all of those factors, and I think that's why Jordan Love doesn't get the quote-unquote love. And again,
mm-hmm.
look, I'll keep on saying this because I want to own it. I was not a Jordan Love fan coming out.
Ditto. There's video evidence of me not being a fan.
I said it on our sister station in La Crosse the day of the draft when asked what will piss you off tonight if they draft Jordan Love. It was not drafting a quarterback. It was drafting Jordan Love. And
mm-hmm.
a couple of the things that I didn't like about him is he regressed in college.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone talks about the footwork. And so, yes, I agreed with that sloppy footwork, those types of things. But I think he has built himself into a true professional. I think
mm-hmm.
he has built himself into a top quarterback in the NFL. And I'm the first to admit I'm a Jordan Love fan.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way he carries himself. I love the way that this team rallies around him.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I'm going to say it. If anyone wants to think Micah Parsons didn't come to Green Bay in part because of Jordan Love, they're wrong.
Right.
And Aaron Charles Rodgers always said people come to Green Bay to play for him. And then, Martellus Bennett, Jimmy Graham, okay, maybe. But Micah Parsons came to Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And Reggie White came to Green Bay because of Brett Favre. I'm not ripping on Rodgers. Again, I still think the best thrower of the football of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was a great team guy to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like
he had his circle of trust.
He had his circle of trust.
Yep.
And so I like what I'm seeing out of Jordan Love. the bottom line, Packer fans, is that this team is 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably right now, one of the top teams that has to be considered for the Super Bowl, the way they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't think there's anything really to complain about when you look at Jordan Love's game. Yes, did he miss Matthew Golden on a deep pass against Washington that should have been a touchdown?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. How about the play before that to Jaden Reed?
Yeah.
Probably one of the best throws I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about dropping it in the bucket.
Yep.
And so again, it's just I think there's, because of the past, because of the expectations, there's going to be Jordan Love angst.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And, I know there's a couple comments said, well, he makes $50 million. He commands $50 million. So, I mean, he's got to play up to that. But at the same time, isn't that the point? Like, I feel like he is playing up to that level, right? I mean, I feel like he is playing up to that level.
Yes.
At this point.
Yeah. Here's the thing. One of the things you asked me 2 months ago, a month ago, whatever it was, what do you want to see early on from Jordan Love? I said completion percentage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not complaining with 66% completion percentage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if this were 56%, I'd be having a different conversation.
Yep.
But I don't, outside of Jared Goff, who's completing 80% of his passes. Now, part of that is because he threw 2-yard passes
exactly
25 times against Green Bay. But when you're completing 66% of your passes, 2/3 of your throws are complete for a 9-yard average. That's elite quarterback play.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So,
I agree.
Yeah, I'm with you on it. And again, this is coming from two guys that weren't Jordan Love fans.
Mm-hmm.
And we can objectively look at it and say, this guy has become a top-tier quarterback.
Totally agree. Who has been, in the first couple weeks of the season, a guy that's maybe surprised you the most so far? Like, and I think we've talked about him too.
You said Carrington Valentine, right?
Or Keyshawn was my first one,
Yep.
and then Carrington was my honorable mention.
I'm going to stay in the defensive secondary, Javon Bullard.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a guy that last year had issues in space,
mm-hmm.
issues bringing down guys in space, and I think right now
he was flying all over the field.
And you just see a confident player who's in position to make a play, and so he's keeping 4-yard completions to 4 yards and not giving up that extra that yak.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll stay in the secondary. I think Keyshawn, who leads the NFL in pass breakups, by the way.
Yep.
Carrington Valentine, absolutely. And then I'd throw Javon Bullard in there. And so
mm-hmm.
so it's just it and again, the splash names are there for Green Bay. But I think one of the big reasons they're 2-0 is those other guys
mm-hmm.
that you're speaking of that are playing better than we expected.
Mm-hmm. Since we were talking about obscure ranking stats, statistics, whatever, this was one I just heard of for the first time the other day. Hustle stops. Apparently, from Next Gen Stats, there is a thing called hustle stops.
Okay.
It's a defensive stop where the player covers 20-plus yards of in-play distance from snap to tackle. Edgerrin Cooper leads the league with 8 of those. Does that surprise you?
No. Based on your description of the stat,
yeah,
no, it doesn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, Edgerrin Cooper, one of the top 5 tacklers in the NFL right now, just
mm-hmm.
looking at pure total tackles, assists, and solos. No, the way he flies around, and again, I think Jeff Hafley. I mean, we talk about the mastermind behind
mm-hmm.
whether it be an offense or a defense. Jeff Hafley, man, he's in the lab,
mm-hmm.
and he's putting Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker in positions to be successful. And I saw reports this week that Green Bay is getting closer to that extension with Quay Walker, so that might be coming down the pipe soon. And get it done while they still have cap this year, of course, because they got some work to do in the future years. And
mm-hmm.
so, and again, you talk about Jordan Love haters, man, the Quay Walker haters need to be probably a little bit silent as well. Now, I know he missed a tackle on Zach Ertz last week. I
mm-hmm.
get that. He did that. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the way he's playing, and again, the key to Edgerrin Cooper, the key to Quay Walker is having those big boys up front, keeping the offensive linemen from getting to the second level, because
mm-hmm.
you've got athletic linebackers like Walker and Cooper. If you let them roam and fly around and get to the ball, they're going to get to the ball if
mm-hmm.
they have space to do so. So, that's another guy who I think exceeding expectations. Devontae Wyatt, I'll just throw the name in there. When you look at the Georgia Bulldogs draft in the first round, he's a guy, the question mark, what are they going to do without Kenny Clark? He's a guy, in my opinion, that stepped up. So a lot of these guys now have stepped up. Edgerrin Cooper, I just think, getting back to your stat, I think he's on that cusp of stardom. I think he's that guy, that next guy for Green Bay that gets moved up into that echelon.
I just love the name of that. I've never heard of that before until earlier this week. Hustle stops.
I'm gonna use that at the high school level, man,
Right?
because that's you can use that at any level.
Mm-hmm.
You can create your own hustle stops, and for Hutz, it's relevant to him. For high school kids, for college kids, for NFL players, hustle stops. I love it,
dude. Last night's game.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right, I'm gonna brag about our team here a little bit.
I want to hear it.
So we tied it up. Tied it up at 22 apiece with like a minute something left.
Ooh.
Okay. Shout out Quinn got a pick on the sideline.
There you
It was
go.
like 30 seconds left. And
Okay.
I'll admit it. I didn't think for third grade we had overtime, so I ran the ball.
Yeah.
And made a big run. I'm like, okay, let's hurry it up, and we missed a play. Apparently we did have overtime.
Oh, there you go.
So all right, it's they get the ball first. They won the rock, paper, scissors battle between the two kids. Shout out Evan got a pick. So we're like, all right, we score, we win. And we had a couple good plays. It's college rule, so you get 4 tries
Okay.
to go in there. 4th down, and I look at Hudson, and I'm like, I know you don't like quarterback, but I need you. And he's like,
Coach called in the big righty off the bench. He is right-handed,
Yep,
right? Okay.
yep.
All right.
And we only have 10 seconds to throw.
Okay.
The official gets to 9. Hudson throws it in the middle. Finn's right there. Walk-off touchdown.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing.
Oh,
That is a beautiful thing,
right?
Coach. That is a beautiful thing, Coach.
Evan, Quinn with the picks, Finn with the sweet catch.
And Hutz.
And he for a guy who doesn't like playing quarterback, he was pretty pumped last night and pretty cocky to dad last night.
You know what?
So, yeah.
Maybe he is a QB1 of the future.
That was I was so happy for those kids
Well,
last
of course.
night. That was awesome.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's
on Carson Park Field too, and all the fans in the stands for their parents. That was cool.
If you look at the Boys of Fall video, and I love that song.
Mhm.
And if you look at the video, though, I think it might be Favre or Peyton Manning talking about when they intersperse some of those shots, seeing the kids playing football.
Mhm.
And to me, there's nothing that warms my heart more seeing youth get into the sport, because I still to this day think it's the best sport. And I've coached youth, I've coached high school. I just think for life lessons, football is the sport to coach or to teach, to play, whatever. I think it teaches you the most outside the lines. And so that is great. I got chills, man, from that story. That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah. I didn't. Yeah.
And to these sports talk listeners that can't see Captain's beaming face right now and proud face, you are a proud coach, dad, fan.
Absolutely. So
good stuff.
Really pumped for those kids.
Good stuff, brother.
Okay. Commanders are signing Preston Smith. It just popped up. So Preston Smith's back in the league.
He's back in Washington.
Yep, back in Washington.
There you go. And you know what? There's a guy that I think, and I'll use the term, carried the G during his time here. And again, I think he was a player that gave everything he had to Green Bay.
Yep.
I think he played the position that he was coached to play. Dropping back into coverage and those types of things in the Joe Barry era. But I think that's a guy that you look at. Yeah, he was. I think you would consider him one of those bridge players that got Green Bay from one level to the other.
Yep.
And so that good for him.
Yep.
Good for him.
All right, before I let you go, we got to talk about the Cleveland game on Sunday. We'll find out today, or maybe a little bit if Zach Tom can return to practice. He was in the rehab group on Monday. I will say if he's not playing, I'm a little concerned with Myles Garrett going up against Anthony Belton in that game.
Yes.
And you look at Cleveland's defense, they're topped in a lot of areas.
This is not going to be the cakewalk that I think people assume it's going to be, even with Zach Tom.
I agree.
And again, I get it. Now, to flip it on the other side, Joe Flacco against this Packers defense, I see a lot of pressure on him. And so, the key to this game, I think, for Green Bay is getting up early. Getting up early and getting Cleveland out of their game plan. And when I say up, I usually talk about 2 scores. You get up 2 scores early, and now they're chasing points. And I think that makes the difference in this game. Do I think with or without Zach Tom, Green Bay wins this football game? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it's going to be the 42-10 drubbing. I don't think it's going to be Detroit and Chicago from last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think this game's going to be, I believe the spread 7.5.
Yep.
I think this is a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a 24-17 kind of ball game.
Mm-hmm.
And probably will have moments where Packer fans will scratch their head and say, why don't we put this team away yet? And again, I think Packer fans looking at that Washington game felt that same way. Now, Washington, different level of a team than Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
But, folks, I've never played, coached, or anything in the National Football League. But I will say this, winning a football game, I don't care if it's your third grade Huts, high school, what I coach, the NFL is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
And so if Green Bay walks out of there this week with a 7-point win to go 3-0, nothing to complain about.
Nothing.
Absolutely zero to complain about. I don't care if it's a 2-0 ball game and the only score is a safety.
Mm-hmm.
I used to talk to people, and, well, yeah, but they almost lost to this team. I'm like, I'm sorry, I missed it in the standings where it's WL and AL.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's wins or losses at the end of the day. And so I see Green Bay winning this game. I see them keeping Cleveland in the teens as far as points go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Green Bay scoring, could it be 27-17? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Something along those lines. But I'm seeing this as 7-10 score differential. But but if it's a touchdown, heck, if it's a 3-point difference, who cares?
Well, it's like at the end of the Chiefs and Eagles game when Chandler Jones is like trash talking to Jalen Hurts. You haven't even had 100 yards. Or Chris Jones. Yeah, yep. Chris Jones. So you haven't had yards. He's Jalen Hurts like, scoreboard. We got the win, dude.
You know what? You know what? Quick personal story. High school football. I started at right guard for high school football. I started my junior and senior year at right guard. One of the games of my senior year, I drove a defensive tackle off the ball, probably 20 yards. And we were winning by I think like 20. And he grabbed my jersey and threw me down. And I jumped up and I just pointed at the scoreboard. So at the end of the day, that's what matters. And so again, I see Green Bay winning this game with or without Zach Tom. But I see it being a little bit of, there's going to be a period of the game, I think, where it's going to be a slog and you're going to kind of be scratching your head. You're going to be saying, I don't know. Yeah. But Green Bay wins this football game.
I feel like, too, it's probably going to be one of those, don't look at the box score and come to the conclusion.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And if Jordan Love is 17 out of 25 for 191 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, don't complain.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So, I totally agree, man.
Hey, congrats to Huts. Congrats to you.
Oh, no, not me. It's the team. It's those boys.
I understand, but I know you and Huts, so I'm saying congrats to you guys. So that is fantastic. And again, Dan, your face this morning, just absolutely glowing.
No, I was just happy for those boys for getting that win. It's so cool, too, because, I mean, they just rush the field every time one of their teammates makes a play.
That's awesome.
And you got to break them up. It's like, hey, we still got to play to go.
You know what, though? Again, best sport ever. Period. End of discussion.
I think I probably agree with you, too. So. All right, sir. Well, big thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit this morning.
Next week will be the same. I'll be in studio. I'm traveling the week after that. But, let's keep this rolling. We talked about a win against Detroit. We talked about a win against Washington. Let's have that. Talk about a win against Cleveland and see where this thing goes.
Absolutely. All right, brother. Appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just a couple minutes. If your vehicle needs an oil change, maybe some new tires, maybe some engine work, there's only one place I go to, and that's AJM Automotive in Eau Claire. Just got an oil change from the boys over there. Some new tires that look amazing on the truck from AJM Automotive. Getting ready for when the snow hits our area. Make your appointment today to get your oil changed, or maybe get some tires, or maybe get some engine work done. Give them a call, 715-835-9523. They're located on 1919 Brackett Avenue in Eau Claire. And save that number too, because probably don't want to think about it. You don't want it to happen, but it does happen sometimes. They do offer towing services too. So keep that in mind. Plus, speaking of snow, and I know you don't want to hear about it, but they do small engine work. So if you got to get that snowblower tuned up, boom, they did it for my snowblower last year. Got it ready to go. So they can do the same for you. Again, that number for our good friends at AJM Automotive, 715-835-9523. All right. Running a little behind, so we got to take another break before the top of the hour here. But just to kind of reset everything, got a couple questions. Looking for all of you out there. The Packer player that has maybe pleasantly surprised you the first 2 weeks of the season. All right. No right or wrong answer in this thing. It's sports, man. Even if we agree to disagree. So who cares? Send it on over, all right? And curious to get your thoughts on why no love for love, or maybe you do have love for love. Maybe you want to chime in on that. I don't care what side you're on. Again, it's sports. We all got different opinions. Send them on over. It's for fun. So we're going to get back to some more Brewers talk here, too. We got the Brewers game 2 tonight. It's going up against the Angels, trying to inch a little bit closer and closer to clinching that division. Didn't get any help. Thanks, Dodgers and Pirates, not taking down the Phillies and Cubs last night. So, but it's going to come down to the wire in this thing. It's going to give us a little bit more stress in that. I did put up a poll yesterday just to kind of gauge what the rest of Brewers Nation and the 715 thought. If they still believe that the Brewers will finish this thing in first place in the National League with the Phillies right on their behinds. And so far, 80% of you say yes, the Brewers will finish this thing in first place in the National League. Couple of you chiming in on there saying they'll win the division, but lose in the first round. I don't like that negativity. I don't like it. Interesting piece from MLB.com that I want to hit up in the next hour here too, talking about the Brewers and some other teams with a chance to turn their playoff regrets into distant memories. And we know Brewers playoffs, yeah, there's been some regrets, some good moments, but some moments where they've fallen short. So, yeah, so you can we got Packer that surprised me, Micah Parsons, no training camp on a pitch count and having a week to learn the defense. I didn't think he'd already be wrecking games. Shows how amazing he is. That's from James on our video stream on YouTube. So, all right, let's take that quick break and then we'll wrap up the second hour here. Don't forget to send me your stock reports, though. Whose stock is up? Whose stock is down? I'll make my picks coming up just past the top of the hour. A lot of picks for Keyshawn, and I like it. Keyshawn Nixon has surprised me for sure. Josh says he has deserved a start, but in 2 games, he has been lights out. Probably benefits from the newfound pass rush, but still. Couple more texts. I'm not trying to miss anybody, so I'm trying to catch up here. NB Dave says, agree with the corners, but part of the reason why they're doing so good is the immense pressure the front four is putting on the quarterback throwing the ball too early. My point is, if you get the quarterback all day to throw, I don't care how good your corners are, somebody's going to get open. I would agree, Dave. Definitely the cornerback play has benefited from that pressure up front. There's no question about it. No question about it. John says, my stock riser is Daniel Indiana Jones. His performance the first 2 weeks was not on my bingo card. My stock faller is the Dolphins head coach, Mike McDaniel. I think he will be the first head coach fired this season, probably by week 8. He's lost the locker room, seems like, and some head coaches are just better coordinators. Also, what's your take on Tom Brady being the coach's box on Monday Night Football and then the NFL releasing their statement yesterday saying basically they see nothing wrong with it? Well, the Tom Brady thing was my grind my gears yesterday. But since then, yeah, the NFL has released a statement pretty much saying, yeah, there's no protocol or anything like that. That's ridiculous. I still think it's ridiculous. I hate to be all conspiracy theory with this thing, but I gotta say, like, are they like almost shy, nervous a little bit to try to penalize Tom Brady again because of how Deflategate went and the PR stuff of all that? I saw somebody throw this comparison out there, and I think it's accurate. If they made such a big deal about Spygate from the Patriots back in the day, why are they not doing the same thing with this one? Like, or they should not have made such a big deal about Spygate, or are they just like they're so like gun shy with this whole thing that they don't even want to touch it? I don't know. The optics look incredibly bad, and just by seeing Brady's reaction to being caught on camera and when he's like slouching down, like I feel like too, he knew he was like, yeah, probably not, shouldn't be doing this, probably shouldn't be caught and all that. I was talking to a Raiders fan. Okay. You would think Raiders fans probably don't have an issue with this. I was talking with a Raiders fan yesterday. He hates it. He's frustrated by it. He doesn't even want Brady. Doesn't even want Davis part of the ownership group anymore. That's a Raiders fan saying that. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. And I honestly feel like the NFL is nervous about trying to penalize or slap the hand of one Thomas Brady. They tried that. The PR thing of it just was ridiculous. It was a negative thing, and I don't think they want to go down that path anymore. I think post-career, they want Brady involved in the NFL as much as possible because he's Tom flipping Brady. They want him calling games, so he's still on TV. They want him involved in teams, being a part owner in that because he's Tom Brady. So that's my thoughts on it. I guess trying to keep it in check, trying to keep it a little bit clean. So, but appreciate the question. Anybody else? I'll throw it back to you. So, by the way, speaking of the NFL, happy birthday to the NFL. It was, if you want a little history nugget, 1920. 1920, today, the American Professional Association, later turned the NFL. It was this date. It was born in Canton, Ohio. 12 teams paid $100 each to join the American Professional Football Association that would later become the NFL. So what, 125 years old, this team, right? No, 105. Sorry. Wow. You know me in math. 105 years old. So is football your favorite sport, peeps? On this day, on this birthday? Let's have a little fun with this. It is a Wild Card Wednesday. Blowing out the candles on your birthday cake for 105 years old. You're the NFL. What are you wishing for? What are you wishing for if you're the NFL blowing the candles out of your birthday cake, your 105-year-old birthday cake, huh? But man, yeah. Happy birthday to the NFL. Celebrate big time. Celebrate big time. All right, coming up next hour, I'll do my stock risers. Whose stock is up, whose stock is down. since it is a wild card Wednesday too, if you got any other questions, random questions and such, throw them on over. All right. Why not? Break up the work week here a little bit. Let's do it up. 2 in, a couple more to go. I want to hear from you, people. Hit me up with your texts or your comments on the video stream. We'll be back after these news updates. Third hour kicking off right now on this Making a Turn Wednesday. Thank you for making us a part of your start here this morning. I want to hear from you, though. Okay? Give me your picks, analysis, thoughts, questions, good stuff. Text us on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Join our Facebook and YouTube chats over there. We've got James and Zach. I think you guys are still over there too, so join in a combo over there. We've got stock reports coming up here in just a skosh. We're going to talk some more Brewers coming up here as well. There's the Brew Crew Game 2 tonight against the Angels after a 9-2 victory last night, where we saw Freddie Peralta pick up his 17th win of the season and inch a little bit closer to a third consecutive season of 200 strikeouts. He's 5 away now after throwing 10 Ks last night. Christian Yelich also, good night for him, 3 hits, but it included a 2-run home run where he is now sitting at 29 home runs, 99 RBIs. 29 home runs, 99 RBIs. So could be getting closer to that 3,100 season. So we'll get back to more Brewers talk. One of the questions been thrown out there is, for the first 2 weeks of the season, Packers fans, who has been the most pleasantly surprising player? A lot of Keyshawn Nixon picks. That was mine. My honorable mention was Carrington Valentine. Got some Devontae Wyatt picks. Got some Romeo Dobbs picks. Got some Edrin Cooper picks. Who's been your pleasantly surprising player so far in the first 2 weeks, the very beginnings of this season? Let me know your thoughts and picks. All right. Let's do some stock reports, though, to really kick off this hour. So my stock riser is I am going to go with the Colts. Throw in Daniel Jones if you want to. Colts off to a 2-0 start to begin the season. They haven't flipping punted at all yet this season, for crying out loud. And you factor in that the Texans are 0-2. I think there's a real shot the Colts are going to be 3-0. They got the Titans coming up here. You're looking at their schedule: Titans, Rams, Raiders, Cardinals, Chargers, Titans, Steelers, Falcons, Chiefs later on and such. But man, right now, maybe the Colts do win this AFC South. Maybe they do. I don't know, but you got to give them props. I wasn't ready to buy them after week 1. I don't know if I'm fully buying them right now after week 2, but you got to give credit to where credit's due. And right now, the Colts are playing good football and playing some good offensive football too. Jonathan Taylor, man, leading the league in rushing. Former Badger there. You got to love that. Got to love that, right? So, my stock faller. You could go. I've gone back and forth with this one. You could go with all the quarterback injuries from this week. Holy moly. Joe Burrow, J.J. McCarthy, Jaden Daniels. The list goes on and on. A lot of starting quarterback injuries this week. I'm going to go with this. The tush push. This past weekend with that Chiefs game, tush push got a lot of attention. And maybe not in the greatest way. Here's the thing for me. When it regards the tush push, officiate it correctly. Call it correctly. Okay? That's my issue. And I hope, because of the game and the coverage that it got, that maybe this is going to be looked at a little bit more. Because what I mean by calling it correctly, stop allowing the Eagles guards to move before the snap of the ball. There should be false starts on some of them. Not all of them. I'm not going to sit here and say all of them. But, I mean, it was clearly evidence, at least a couple times in that Chiefs game, that there were some false starts. And that's my issue right now with the tush push. Just call it correctly. Officiate it correctly. That's what I want. And the reason I have it as a stock faller here, because I wonder now with, because we know Green Bay tried to get it banned and such this past season, had some support. Sounds like the NFL kind of like pushed Green Bay to nominate it. With the coverage and with the announcing groups talking about it and highlighting it, saying, yep, that should have been a false start. Yep, that should have been a false start. Officials missed it on that one. I wonder if that stock is going to start to go down on the tush push, and people are going to be like, yep, see, pointing that out. You know what I mean? So that's my stock faller for this. If you want to send me your stock fallers and stock risers, you can. We'll get back to some more of those coming up a little bit later on. But Brewers. Last night, 9-2 victory over the Angels. Freddie Peralta picking up his 17th win on the season, improving to 17-6. 10 strikeouts for Freddie Peralta last night. Because of that performance, now he is just 5 strikeouts away from having another consecutive season of 200 Ks in a season. Freddie Peralta's final line from the game last night, 6 innings, 10 Ks, 1 earned run, that solo shot, 2 hits, 2 walks. He is now, as we said, 17-6 on the season and has a 2.65 ERA. Christian Yelich last night, 3 for 5, 3 hits, 3 RBIs, including a 2-run home run. That put him at 29 home runs on the season and 99 RBIs. So he is 1 home run away, 1 RBI away from having a 30-100 season. I don't know if Christian, do they have odds? Let me see if they got odds for NL comeback player of the year. Yeah, I got an MLB comeback player of the year odds. Okay, so Ronald Acuna right now, this is from oddspedia.com. So this was back in July, though, July 23rd. So these are a little bit old. But Ronald Acuna Jr. had the best odds. Robbie Ray, Spencer Strider, Corbin Carroll, and then Christian Yelich. Do they have a little bit more of an updated one? I don't want NFL. I want MLB. Give me MLB. I don't care about NFL ones right now. Maybe it's not updated. So, when was this one updated? This one. Okay. Yeah, this one still has Ronald. Geez, Christian Yelich isn't even on there. Brandon Woodruff's on there. When was that one updated? This is from sports.betmg. This was back in April. So, oof. Yeah, that's really old over there. I would have to imagine Christian Yelich is probably going to get some votes. I don't know if he'll win it, but I would imagine he's going to get some votes. I would imagine Brandon Woodruff's going to get some votes for comeback player of the year. The thing that's interesting, though, that maybe some voters won't vote Yelich as the first place votes in that is because last year, I mean, he was a starter in the All-Star game. He was hitting over 300 and, ends up missing half the season shortly after the All-Star game. And you look at the numbers, the average wise and the OPS and that, yeah, they're a little bit down compared to last year. It's the big thing is just the power and the run producing that he has displayed so far this year. We're talking about for Christian Yelich, this will be the first time, if he gets to it, don't want to jinx or anything, but if he gets to 30 home runs, the last time he did that was 2019. For crying out loud, the last time he had over 20 home runs in a season was 2019 when he hit 44. 2023, he had 19. Last year, he had 11 before he was done for the break. Last time he had 100 RBIs or more, you got to go out back to his MVP year where he had 110. He had 97 in 2019. That 2019 season for Christian Yelich is just such a huge what if. It's such a big what if. Like, he played in 147 games. The fractured kneecap. 44 flipping home runs. 99 RBIs. 30 stolen bases. I know he won the MVP in 18, but man, I think if he finishes that season, does he win the MVP over Bellinger? I think he does. Maybe the voters don't give it to him, but you could make the case that 2019 season, did I say 147 games? He played 130. He played 147 in 2018. My apologies. But you look at some of those numbers, and it's like, you make the case they're better than his MVP year. He had a higher average. He had a higher on-base percentage. He had a better slugging percentage. He had a better OPS, for crying out loud. And you just like, what if? Like, how that knee fracture just screwed up a big portion of his career. I get 2020. It was a weird year for everybody. 58 games, 12 home runs, 22 RBIs, just a 205 average. It's like, okay, maybe kind of brush it off because it was just a weird year for everybody. So 2021 comes back and just 9 home runs, 248 average. It's like, okay, what's going on? 2022 is 252 average, 14 home runs, but still, it's like, meh. Played 154 games that year compared to 117 in 2021. What is going on with Chris Yelich? Then 2023, okay, average is going up. OPS is going up. He's 278. He's 817. 19 home runs. Kind of like, okay, that's Yelich from the Marlins days. 2024, it's like, oh, yeah, here we go. Over 300. Starter in the All-Star game again. Now, we're back to MVP ones. And then the injury. And then this year, he's got the power back, but 267. 384 or 346 on base. Just 467 slugging. 813 OPS. Heck, 2023 so far, he had a higher OPS than what he does now. It's only about 4 points, but still. But I go back to that 2019, just how much did that screw up, derail what maybe could have been a fantastic few days or a few years, excuse me, of Christian Yelich play. Such a what if. I was thinking about this. Oh, maybe this is a good podcast topic, but like the top what ifs in sports. You know what I mean? Like, what are some of the biggest what ifs in sports? You could throw a Christian Yelich thing in there. What if insert Blake, there's so many of them. And there was one in particular. I wish I would have wrote it down and I can't remember. I'm having a huge brain fart right now. But it's like, what are some of the biggest what ifs in sports? Oh, like one of them is, what if Kevin Durant wore shoes that actually fit his feet? Do the Bucks even have a championship? What if Michael Jordan is drafted number 1 overall and not Sam Bowie? And then you got Clyde and Jordan or whatever, or Houston drafts Jordan instead of the Dream Olajuwon. That stuff. What if Packers don't draft Tony Mandrich and they get Aikman or something like that? What if? What are some of the biggest what ifs in sports? But what if we kept it to just what if in Wisconsin sports? Biggest what ifs. The butterfly effect after those what ifs. We'll never know, right? I mean, what if the Brewers ended up winning the A2 World Series? How does that affect the years after that? Does it affect them at all? What if Favre doesn't throw an interception in the 07-08 NFC Championship game and they go play the Patriots, the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl? Do the Packers beat the Patriots, or do the Patriots complete the perfect season? What if? So many of them. What are some of the ones off the top of your head or at the top of your mind? Some of the biggest what ifs. What if 2015 Badger basketball? Well, we don't need to. It still grinds my gears. Surveyor, what if Brett Bielema didn't leave Wisconsin? That's a good one. What if Brett Bielema doesn't leave Wisconsin? James says on YouTube, what if Bo Jackson didn't need hip replacement? Zach says, what if the NFL didn't have those replacement refs? Oh, that's a painful one too, man. What if, same year, what if Clinton Dix gets that interception in the NFC Championship game? Was it on the 2-point conversion? What if Brandon Bostic doesn't fumble the onside kick? Whew. I'm sorry. There's some painful ones. All right, send some more over. Okay, it is a little bit of a wild card Wednesday. Quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Looking for some new flooring for your space, your home, the man cave, the bedroom, kitchen, whatever the case may be. Make sure you go visit our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center right here in Eau Claire. Even if you're not quite sure what style, what type of flooring would work the best in your space, hey, the team over there, they can help you out. All right. So go visit them today, located here again, right in Eau Claire. You can also check out their website at carpetcitywi.com. But I mean, you want to talk with the friendly peeps over there. 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire, especially if you have any questions like, man, I'm not sure if this would look good or if this would actually be the best option for this particular space. Maybe you got like a basement or a basement man cave like I did. They helped me out. Like, okay, let's do this with the tiles and the carpet over there. They're awesome. They're so easy to work with, so helpful, and they will match or beat the competition if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere. So go give our friends at Carpet City Flooring Center a visit today at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire. We got some good ones in here. Refresh my memory, Richie, on the Mike Cameron one. What if Mike Cameron makes that catch in center field in the NLCS? I think I'll blank on it because didn't he just play for? Are you referring to a Brewers one? Because didn't he play in 08, 09? So I'm blanking on that one. What if the polar bear doesn't hit that home run? Yeah, definitely. Surveyor. What if Aiden Hutchinson doesn't destroy his leg? Lions Super Bowl. What if Morton Anderson hits that field goal? What if we gave Holmgren general manager responsibility? What if the Bears select Mahomes over Trubisky? Here's some really good ones. John says, what if Aaron Rodgers had gone number 1 overall to San Francisco instead of Alex Smith? Yeah. That's a good one, too. Dan says, what if instant replay was in place when Rice fumbled before Owens dumped the Packers out of the playoffs? Right? Oh, how many of us could still remember watching that play live? Hell, I was a younger one and I was yelling at the TV for crying out loud. Man, a lot of good ones out there. Keep those coming. Some what ifs. If you can, try to keep it like maybe Wisconsin related too, because we've got our fair share of what if heartbreaks. Or maybe it ended up working in a positive way too. You know what I mean? Like, what if? Trying to think of an example here, and I'm kind of blanking here at this point, but maybe it changed some of the positive outcomes for Wisconsin sports. There's so many of them. So many of them. I might have to come. I think that might be a good. Well, we're kind of talking about it now. So send me some more what ifs, like the biggest what ifs. If you can, Wisconsin related, do that. If not, no worries, because it's probably easier to expand and think outside some other sports or some other teams and individuals and such. So continue to send me those. Hit me up on a text, 715-830-1912. Or on the video streams. What if Dez never dropped the ball in the playoffs against the Packers? What if, Dez? What if? Oh, Surveyor, good one too on the time-wise. What if Sterling didn't get hurt? Do we get Rison? What if Reggie White never came to Green Bay? A lot of good ones. I think I might have to do that as a pod for the top 5 Wisconsin what ifs. Yeah, see, Zach says, what if another one said with the Dez? What if Dez call was a TD? I thought one during the break and I forgot it already. I gotta write these down. My memory's going kaput here. Yeah, this one, somebody mentioned this one earlier too, but another texter says, what if Bo Jackson didn't get hurt? So, all right. We were talking a lot of Brewers here this morning. We were talking some Packers in the first hour here too, but Packers-wise, we were looking for your through the first 2 weeks of the season. For the first 2 weeks of the season, somebody says, what if you change the subject? Must be a slow news day. Funny guy. Funny person. Put a name behind that. But we were looking for your first two player or surprise player, pleasantly surprised player through the first 2 weeks of the Packers season. A lot of you picking Keyshawn Nixon. Got a Jeremy that picked a Keyshawn Nixon, a Mike that picked a Keyshawn Nixon, a Zach that picked a Keyshawn Nixon. We got quite a few Edrin Cooper ones too. Tim picked Edrin Cooper. Pete picked Edrin Cooper. Then we've got, I'm just kind of scrolling through some of these here. Josh went with Devontae Wyatt. I think somebody else picked Devontae Wyatt at the beginning too. So, and then Kyle also going with Devontae Wyatt. So keep those coming if you want. Back to some Brewers talk here though for a little bit because we've got game 2 coming at you tonight. Brandon Woodruff is coming on the mound. We're going on the mound tonight for the Crew. And we've talked about Brandon Woodruff a lot this season about the impact that he has had since coming off of the injured list and such from last year. Now, I think he's probably going to get some votes for comeback player of the year too. But just, I think, yesterday we were talking about the 5 key players that you think would be impact players for the rest of this season. Like 5 players that are going to be key to finishing this thing strong and trying, maybe to make a deep postseason run. And I had Brandon Woodruff on my top 5 because he is a guy that I think when you look at, when the Brewers brought him back 2 years ago after he suffered that major injury, and the Brewers said, no, you know what? We're still going to give you a 2-year deal. First year, we know you're not going to play. Hoping that we can get you back for the second year. And that was an injury that there was no guarantee he was even going to come back from. This is the reason why they bring back a Brandon Woodruff. Is for games like today or tonight, games like for the postseason. This is why they were patient and brought Brandon Woodruff back for moments like this. And Woodruff, I mean, the last time we saw him was back on the 6th? He's gotten plenty of rest leading up to this thing, and that's what the Brewers have kind of did with some of their pitchers here. Going with that extra, spot or starting a rotation for somebody, whether maybe it's an Aaron Ashby getting a spot start here or there, or, like a Chad Patrick and that, trying to give guys like a Brandon Woodruff some extra days off. And I think that's been boding well for the Brewers, and you're trying to preserve them because once we get to that postseason, it's all hands on deck, and it's like full go, full throttle. Let's get this thing. So I'm excited to see what he has. I mean, I want to see Woodruff tonight too. Not only pick up the win and the Brewers pick up the win, but okay, maybe stretch it out a little bit. Try to ride some of that momentum into the postseason. A couple more. What if Bobby Boucher didn't show up at halftime and lead the Mud Dogs to the Bourbon Bowl? That's a good one. What if the Badgers had hired Jimmy Leonard over Fickle? Another good one. What if Barry never comes to Wisconsin? What if the Packers never sold stock back in 1923 and 1935? Another good one. Good one there too, Sam. All right, keep those coming. We got to take a quick break. We'll have more of your comments and such. Talk some more Brewers. Talk some more Green and Gold. Packers will be returning to practice today. Be a big day to see whether Zach Tom is going to be able to practice. Would love to have that guy out on the field going up against Myles Garrett. All right, we'll be back in just a couple minutes. When it comes to fresh quality meats, the first stop is always Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. Their brats, snack sticks, steaks. Hey, you could taste the difference in every single bite. So with deer season coming up, well, it is going on right now, postseason, but like with maybe deer gun season coming up, Mike's does professional venison processing, so you know your hard-earned harvest will taste its best. Great cuts, great service, and hometown pride. That's Mike's Star Market. Stop on in today and see why locals have trusted them for years. Man, a lot of people must really like this topic of what if. Dan says, what if Tony Mandrich is not the pick? Dave, I'm not sure on the Yelich one. What if Christian Yelich doesn't agree to hit in the home run derby? Is the curse of the home run derby in play? Does he hurt his back? Because Yelich hasn't been in a home run derby. I know he committed to the 19 one, but then withdrew. So I know there's he's got this thing going with with Barstool. The part of my take, guys, Big Cat and who's the other guy? I could picture him, sunglasses, wearing them all the time. Can't remember, but they've got like this something in play. If he ever does the home run derby and wins it, there's like a bet or joke or something like that. But I don't think Yelich has ever been in the home run derby. Again, he was supposed to in 19, but then backed out because of his back. So surveyor says, what if Giannis isn't selected by Milwaukee? Do we even have a team anymore? We've got Zach on our video stream also saying you should do a what if podcast. Well, what do you think, Zach? Should we maybe make it a part of the man cave one? What do you think about that? Like have a segment on the man cave. Kind of pick some certain ones and topics and kind of like forecast, make predictions of what it would happen or what would happen, the butterfly effect after that. So something to ponder a little bit. All right, Packers wise, we're going to get back to practice today. Be our first glimpse of maybe who's going to be available for this weekend against the Cleveland Browns. And as we get closer and closer to that game, obviously we'll do our typical keys to victory, key matchups, key players in that. But kind of what Joe was saying last hour, the Browns are 0-2. Let's just say, let's not bury the headline. Packers are the better team than Cleveland, but Cleveland will present its challenges to Green Bay in this game. And it's going to specifically be from the defensive side of the ball, outside of Myles Garrett. I mean, if Myles Garrett is going to be going up against Anthony Belton, the second-round rookie, he's going to be licking his chops, okay? But you look at what Cleveland has done defensively in the first couple weeks of the season. I know it's a very small sample size and such, but you're talking about a defense that is third best in pass defense, allowing just the third fewest amount of yards through the air. Best in run defense in this league. They held Derrick Henry to 20-some yards last week. Lamar Jackson for 20, was it, or 17 yards? I have to double check it. Let me bring it up here. I did have it up, but I got too many windows open here now. But I mean, you look at what, and the first week, holding Joe Burrow and that Bengals offense before Joe Burrow got hurt to just under 200 yards passing as well. So Jim Schwartz, former Lions head coach, defensive coordinator over there for Cleveland, has that group playing at a high level. And that's going to present challenges to this Packers offense. Yeah, Derrick Henry had 23 yards rushing for the Ravens last week against Cleveland. Lamar was their second, 2 carries for 13 yards. Derrick Henry 11 carries for 23 yards. So you look at that, and we all want to see the running game going. We all want to see the running game get established for Green Bay. If we look at the first 2 weeks of what the Browns have been able to do on defense, it sure looks like it's going to be another tough week to get Josh Jacobs going and this running game going. And you look at it from a passing standpoint. Lamar Jackson was 19-29, 225 yards, did have 4 touchdowns. And this is why I say, you look at the score for Baltimore, it's like, well, they won 41-17. Well, you had the Browns, Joe Flacco had a pick. Joe Flacco also had a fumble in the game. Baltimore capitalized on opportunities. And I think that's going to be key for Green Bay in this game, is capitalizing on those opportunities that are in front of you. Capitalizing, if you get a turnover, turning it into points. Capitalizing if you get into the red zone, come away with touchdowns. Because those opportunities might be limited or few far in between. It's going to be one of those games, I think, if you look at the box score, nothing's really going to jump out to you like, man, Jordan Love was like 25 for 30, 330 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Josh Jacobs had 20 carries for $130. That would be awesome. I don't think that's going to happen in this game against Cleveland. I think yards are going to be tough to come by. And it's going to be probably maybe at times a frustrating game because you're going to be some quick 3 and outs, not able to extend drives, and especially if Zach Tom's not playing in this game. I look at this game as Matt LaFleur. What can he do from a play caller standpoint to maybe try to catch the Browns off guard a little bit? What can he do to be a little creative? Maybe something that hasn't been on film yet for scouting purposes, and maybe generate some big plays or some other scoring opportunities. I think he's got to open up the playbook a little bit. Maybe you don't want to do that week 3 of the NFL season, but with this defense, and 2, with a probably desperate Browns team looking for a win, you're in their house. They're 0-2, and 0-2 in the division. They want to win. You got Myles Garrett already, kind of displaying some frustration. He ain't going anywhere, though, after signing that big deal. I feel like right now, at least on this Wednesday, it's going to be a little bit of a tough going game at the beginning part. I agree. I think Green Bay, if they could jump out early, those scripted plays right away, and they could come away with a touchdown on the opening drive or their opening drive and set that tone early, that's going to be critical for this game. And I don't want to see Cleveland jumping out to like a 10-0 lead or something like that, because then the defense can just hammer down and pin their ears back. That's the one thing you don't want. From a Packers defense, you don't want to give up 10 points, and you don't want to be down like 10-0, 14-0, 13-0, whatever, and dig yourself in a hole where Myles Garrett and others can go attack. It sure, for me at least, has the makings, has the feelings of a little bit of a grind it out type of game. It's not going to be full of big plays or splashy plays. And a couple drives just might make the difference in this thing. But I look at it as a key for this one, Matt LaFleur versus Jim Schwartz. Who's going to have the advantage in terms of game planning ahead of time, and who's going to have the advantage play calling in the game, adjustments and such? That to me is going to be an interesting chess match between those two. Who's going to have the upper hand in this thing? Who's going to confuse the other one the most? And I know I've said it a few times before, but Matt LaFleur is at his best when it just feels like he is one step ahead of the defensive coordinator. And we have seen that at times. When he is in that zone calling plays, he is masterful. I just feel like potentially this week we may see that playbook opened up a little bit more. Maybe Savion Williams utilized a little bit more, especially with no Jaden Reed in this game. Matthew Golden may be utilized in different packages and formations and sets. Because I think Green Bay is still going to try to run the football, even though they're going up against the best in the league at limiting the run. But can they come up with maybe different ways to manufacture those runs? And again, it'll be tougher if Banks and Tom aren't in it, because they're arguably 2 of their better run-blocking linemen, maybe the 2 best run-blocking linemen on this team. But maybe it's those jet sweeps. Maybe it's employing a shorter passing game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Jordan Love in shotgun formation more in this game. And that does take away from the play action. I mean, we saw Jordan Love last year a lot in shotgun, and a lot of fans were like, get under center, get the play action game going. But with the potential of Zach Tom not being available, and you've got Myles Garrett going up against a rookie second rounder, they may employ shotgun a little bit more just to give a little bit more time for Jordan Love and protect him a little bit more too. So, but I'm really fascinated, excited to see these two coaches really kind of go at it and who's going to be the better play caller that day and which unit is going to execute better. I feel like the Packers defense is going to do their thing against Cleveland's offense. I feel like they're going to be able to do their thing. The outcome of this game is going to be determined by which coordinator, which play caller is going to seize the day. Is it going to be LaFleur or is it going to be Jim Schwartz? That is going to be an awesome, awesome matchup. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll wrap up the third hour. Catching up on more of your texts and comments and such. Don't forget to send me your stock risers. Whose stock is up? Whose stock is down? We'll be back in just a few minutes. Surveyor, you gonna be at the Packtober on Sunday? Stop by for a second. That's coming up this Sunday, our first annual Packtober. I know you're not supposed to say first annual, that bugs people, but okay, first ever. I say it jokingly once in a while, and people get so upset about it. First ever Packtoberfest. It's like, calm down, people. First ever Packtoberfest coming up this Sunday. VFW Post 305. VFW Post going to be having their breakfast buffet going on. We got brats from Mike's Star Market that are going to be on there. We're going to be doing a special Green Bay pregame show starting at 10. Some contests, the free 35, our first 35 people to show up for the tailgate party and get a free Oktoberfest from Sam Adams. So, Sam with the text says, I love this topic. It's all hypothetical. It's the ultimate barstool conversation where anyone can engage because it's all hypothetical. I think you should do it as part of the pod, but with a person or two. To the person who said this topic is dumb, okay, I can't say that. I'm not going to say that. But thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. So, we've got Zach also saying do it on the pod too. All right, yeah. Well, here's the thing too with the pod going forward. We are adding a bunch of new voices to it, and new episodes now will have other people. It's just easier. It's just easier to have these kind of bar stool conversations with others. So we got a bunch of people that are going to be joining in for every episode and such. So definitely looking forward to that. But I'll definitely I'll put a note on there to make this a part of it because I think you're right. Yeah, could throw a couple different ones out there each time and just go back and forth on it. So I appreciate the feedback from all of you on that one. All right, coming up next hour, we'll get back to our baseball talk. By the way, Jaden Reed did post, staying with the Packers here. Jaden Reed posted on social media yesterday saying he had successful clavicle and foot surgery. So not just recovering from the clavicle injury, but recovering from the Jones fracture that he elected not to have surgery on and play through it this season. Curious if that's going to affect his timeline to return because they had talked about potentially him coming back at the end of November with that clavicle injury. But you have to wonder, how much does it affect now with the Jones fracture? Is that still the same timetable or potentially going to be out the whole season? I don't know. Something to kind of watch. But they have not made a roster move. They didn't put him on the injured list or injured reserve. See, injured list, injured reserve. They haven't put him on the injured reserve yet and made a corresponding move. So we'll kind of see how that shakes out. But maybe they add another receiver, maybe not, because Christian Watson might be coming back here in the next month or so. Maybe they add another offensive lineman to deal with some of the banged up injuries up there. But for what it's worth, Packers have not made that move yet. They'll return to practice today. Maybe we'll find out beforehand on whether they make that move or not and promote somebody. I'll probably promote somebody from the practice squad on the active roster. So John says, what if the Packers drafted T. Higgins instead of Jordan Love? I'm going to have to write a lot of these down and use them as topics. Keep those coming. I appreciate everybody who has texted those on over. So send me your stock reports. Whose stock is up? Whose stock is down? Alex said his stock up is the Packers defense. Stock down is the Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel. Luke with stock up, stock down. His stock up is the Colts, and his stock down is the Texans. Stock up is the Phillies. Stock down is the Dodgers, says Jake. And he follows it up by saying, I really believe the National League is going to either be the Phillies or the Brewers at this point in time. All right. Don't forget, you can vote on our poll question, too, our post-Glassamere poll question. It's up on our Facebook page. Because I asked, with the way things are going right now, Brewers fans, with 11 games left to go, you're still holding on to a lead for that top spot in the National League. Things are getting close. Phillies played some really good baseball. Do you think the Brewers will hold on and get that top seed in the National League? Do you think they'll hold on? So far, 80% of you say yes. If you think no, let me know. Vote on there. But 20% of you say no, they're not going to. Maybe that's not a big deal. I know we chatted a little bit about that yesterday. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. You're like 1 seed, 2 seed, and it don't matter. Yes, the Brewers have the best road record in Major League Baseball, but if they got to go on the road to face the Phillies at home, who have the best home record, which one wins out in that case? That'll be interesting. All right, 30 seconds left to the shot clock. Coming up next hour, we'll talk some more baseball. We'll talk some more football, too, as we get set for Week 3. Kickoff for Week 3 tomorrow. Don't forget to get your picks in for our Pro Football Weekly Pick'em Challenge. Just go to sportstalk1051.com. Click on that Fan Cave tab. Scroll all the way down to the bottom and get your picks in before it's too late. We've got Buffalo and Miami in action tomorrow, and the way the Dolphins are playing right now, it might be a bloodbath. And then you have to really wonder if the clock's ticking on Mike McDaniel and his job security. All right. 3 in. We got one more to go. Happy hour coming up after these news updates. It is the final hour, kicking off right now. Big thanks for joining us for this happy hour. We're going to talk some baseball. We've got some more football talk coming up as well. We did stock reports, but if you want to send us your stock faller, stock riser, you can do so by hitting us up with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or you can comment on the video streams. One topic that just randomly popped up that a lot of people have been texting in, some of the biggest sports what ifs that are just randomly manufactured into that one. So if you want to send some more, you can do so. Again, you can hit us up with a text or comment on the video streams. I want to lead off here. I want to talk a little football because I want to get a Vikings fans' thoughts on the Carson Wentz era starting for Minnesota here. Let me give you a scenario that plays out. What do you do? Or what's your thoughts? Carson Wentz all of a sudden looks like the MVP Carson Wentz before he tore his ACL.
Mm-hmm.
Does McCarthy get his starting job back? Do you ride the Carson Wentz I'm trying to think of a creative phrase, but I guess it's
the Wentz train.
The Wentz train. I mean, is that almost worst case scenario in essence?
I mean, I get like Wentz's track record isn't great since 20. So we're talking 8 years ago. That is a long time in NFL eras for that.
Wouldn't that be a cool full circle though? Because he misses out on playing the Super Bowl in Minnesota, and now he resurrects his career in Minnesota.
I mean, he'd have to pull off something like what we were, kind of seeing from Darnold last year when Darnold was having his peak moments, which, I mean, let's remember, wasn't the entire season, but a lot of it when he could be good, he could be really good. So we'd have to see that. Which, I mean, there's the whole Kevin O'Connell quarterback whisperer thing. So the presumption is that he's going to do the same with Wentz, I guess. Wentz just arrived, too. I can't remember who put this out, but I think it was maybe Eric Thompson from the Daily Norseman. Imagine a month ago if you saw the quarterback depth chart of the Vikings was 1, Carson Wentz, 2, Max Brosmer, 3, Desmond Ridder. Been like, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
This scenario, I think, would be, I don't know, it's not great, but I think they want to have McCarthy keep playing. Like, you can't essentially bench him for 2 years. And you're getting into Trey Lance territory, which you invested a fair amount in a draft pick, and you can't keep redshirting him in effect and pushing this out. So he's on like a 9-year deal and kind of joking on that. Like, it doesn't work that way in the NFL. I think what they do if Wentz performs well is I think they go back to McCarthy, actually.
So let's say he's out the 4 weeks. I know it's like 2 to 4.
Yeah.
Bengals won. It's a backup quarterback game.
that matchup certainly tanked.
Then you get 2 games overseas. Steelers, Browns, and then possibly the Eagles for that 4th one. That'd be something. But let's say, Carter, you guys win all 4, especially that Eagles one.
Mm-hmm.
And Carson Wentz has a really good game. And J.J. McCarthy is ready to come back on a short week. Vikings-Chargers, October 23rd.
See that? Maybe I'd trade Wentz, try to get some assets back. I mean,
but then J.J. McCarthy gets hurt again, and then you're like,
and then right. Yeah. Well, in that case, you need to know if McCarthy is injury prone. We haven't attached to that label yet, and it's too early to say. I mean, between last year's injury was a massive one, and then high ankle sprain, which that happens. Okay, that's 2 injuries, not entirely related. If one of those keeps acting up, or he gets a 3rd one really quickly, and it doesn't appear to be something where like a backup. I mean, Christian Darrisaw is going to be back by the time McCarthy would be back. But let's say the backup is still there and gets plowed over, and McCarthy gets a 3rd injury. Well, that's not McCarthy's fault. It's because you had a not good offensive lineman that couldn't control a defensive guy coming his way. So I get the injury prone part of that. Of course, Wentz has had his own issues with injury too. Then we also haven't been able to see that much of Wentz because, well, he hasn't played well enough to find out how good his body can hold up, how well his body can hold up. I mean, given the nature of the franchise, I'm trying to get that that first championship ever, there is that sense of you got to ride the hot hand no matter what. No margin for error, I guess. Well, I guess that's possible. But I keep thinking back to Wentz not holding up long-term with really any team. Like I could maybe see him performing well for 2 to 4 weeks. About week 5, week 6, week 7, he has a track record of not being that great in the locker room. Now, maybe it's different in Minnesota. Maybe they've got a better environment. We've talked about that before with like the Brewers bringing in certain players, and maybe the Packers bringing in certain players, but they have a culture within their locker room that they can ameliorate that. Maybe that's the case in Minnesota. We don't know. So maybe Wentz wouldn't be a quote unquote cancer, however one defines that. But I think there are enough other, not say flaws, but there's enough. It's not quite optimal for this particular Vikings team. And I don't think their ceiling on 2025 is the Super Bowl anyway. I mean, there's a lot of talent. If they take out curses and history, blah, blah, blah. Let's say the Vikings ended up winning this year's Super Bowl. It'd be kind of a surprise. It wouldn't be an absolute shocker, like, say, like if the Tennessee Titans won it this year. It'd be like, what in the world happened? Did several teams did they have to fold for the Titans to win it? The Vikings could, but between injuries, age, just a few things here and there, this doesn't seem like the optimal year. This feels like more of a let's get everything together with McCarthy kind of year so that maybe next year and the year after are the optimal ones. So if let's say Wentz is really good, you still probably have that ceiling short of the Super Bowl, and then you have another year of experimenting with McCarthy. Well, now you pushed everything back further down the road. And see, then you start to run into salary issues, blah, 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 and your window really shuts. You gotta time all of that out. Plus, you have a GM who's not made the best choices in the draft either. That's got to be weighing over him. Well, plus, if McCarthy turns out to be a bust, that's the ultimate one right there. Now I know we got the contract extension, but still. So that's a long way of saying I would go with McCarthy. But, and I would keep that in the back of my mind of maybe Wentz could be traded. Let's see what happens with other quarterbacks around the league. If there's a team that maybe has a higher ceiling this year and suddenly loses their quarterback, bam, trade him for draft picks. I think that's the better approach.
Evan with the text says they just pulled the plug on McCarthy, right? He didn't get hit the last 5 plays, was walking fine after the game and gets ruled out on a Monday. I mean,
there's speculation about that, and it's not dead. So like I'm inclined to think that he actually is injured and needs to have that time off. And maybe some of the play on Sunday night was that, but that's not all of it. I mean, unless it was bothering him from the very beginning of the game, and it happened on a very early possession. And you know how we'll never know the whole story of injuries until probably the season is done. How many times do you hear about that in the NHL? Of, oh, this guy actually had like 5 broken bones in his right arm. You never hear about it until the Stanley Cup final is done.
I'm just reading a little bit here that, Kevin O'Connell said Monday morning that he came in really, really sore. It's unclear when, this is from Yahoo Sports, it's unclear when McCarthy sustained the injury during the team's Week 2 loss to the Falcons, though some have speculated it happened on a third quarter scramble. So that's, I don't know if it's one of those, anybody who is like severely sprained their ankle or something, it's almost like always worse and you really feel it the next day sort of thing.
Right.
So once you take the tape off and all that,
well, I kind of wonder if both are true, that he needs to be sidelined for 2 to 4 weeks because of a high ankle sprain, and the Vikings kind of would like to maybe take him back to the shop and work on a few things. Anyways, and
are
it
you
works
gonna
out.
Get that in 2 weeks though?
Yeah, I don't know if that's enough. Well, then maybe 4 weeks is sufficient, or maybe it's like there's one flaw that can be worked out, but you need to shut him down. But look, if he's got a high ankle sprain, he's not going to be able to really move around. You want game reps, you want practice reps. If he's really injured, you're not going to get that. So I don't know if it's a mental thing. maybe it is. Hopefully we're not dealing with the yips here. That always gets dicey if a player has that, and we see that in all sorts of sports. So I don't want to rule out that this is a cover for, we need to work on him behind the scenes more. But I do think ultimately he's injured enough that is that. I guess we're going to know one way or the other depending on how Wentz plays. I mean, unless Wentz is the bad Carson Wentz. But remember, Max Brosmer, and I know probably not a lot of folks around here were following Vikings preseason stuff all that closely because it's preseason. Brosmer looked pretty decent. I mean, there's a reason why he stuck around. Sam Howell was out, and Howell had some pretty bad plays too. Brosmer was a pleasant surprise. I don't think he's quite to the point of he's the future of the Vikings, but he sure seemed like an somewhat adequate backup. The more interesting scenario, as far as I'm concerned, is if Wentz has a bad game against the Bengals, bad game overseas. So, hey, look, Vikings are like the kings of overseas play. Probably going to win those games anyway because they just do. But let's say Wentz does have 2 bad games in a row. Brosmer comes in and actually does well. Okay, there's a guy on a small contract. He played for the U of M, so Gopher. And well, now this is fans, not the team, but fans love themselves some hometown or home playing people over in the Twin Cities.
Adam Thielen.
Yep. But that gets into a more interesting scenario there of, well, maybe no one really knew what they had in Max Brosmer. Sometimes a guy comes out of nowhere and does well. He doesn't have a track record. We don't know. But if they decided they wanted to stick with Brosmer, or if they ultimately did decide to stick with Wentz, short of Wentz being a terrible, terrible quarterback. I don't know. McCarthy's numbers were like statistically we're at the bottom of over 2 weeks. Say it's worse than that. And with Wentz, if you can get worse than that, if they still stick with him, then I wonder what's going on here with McCarthy.
I did see this too, Evan. I saw it yesterday. I don't know why I saw it. I don't know what I was looking up that it popped up. But yeah, Viking subreddit is blaming his baby lowering his testosterone levels.
Yep, I saw that too.
Yeah.
That after that happens, there's like a 20 to 30% decrease in. Okay, I'm not sure how that explains the first 3 quarters of the Monday Night Football game against the Bears. Is there something in the course of pregnancy that also that the husband also loses testosterone, but right before
that might be one of the greatest excuses, theories, whatever you want to call it, like from a fan that is like, pure fan. Like, come on now. Like,
what if it's true too? Like, what if he comes in and like he never has a bad game again? And you could point, then you find, like I said, that still doesn't explain the beginning of the Bears game. It's too bad that McCarthy does have this sprain, so you can't just like straight up bench him or anything.
Like, this is the thing. JJ had a baby 3 days before this game. And when your wife gives birth, it results in the man's testosterone dropping by 20 to 30% for the next couple of days. If he's present and slowly returns to normal, do you think this impacted his play yesterday? You don't need to more than a fraction of a second. You don't need to have more than a fraction of a second off to look like another player. Bravo for this fan throwing that out there. That might be one of the better ones I've heard. We've heard some really good ones over the years of like really like backing up your team or coming up with stupid reasons.
That's science.
Yeah. As Evan says too, ruling out on a Monday is just weird. Usually you play the gamesmanship and make your opponent game plan for both. Cute.
Right.
I would agree with that, especially if it's not an injured reserve. I mean, Matt LaFleur is like the king of playing gamesmanship with this stuff. So
well, okay, and part of the other issue here, I think Judd Zelka had highlighted this in his Substack. Some of this is on O'Connell too. Again, I get the injury thing, and yeah, right now they're shaping up to have like a San Francisco 49ers-esque injury bug situation thing over there. People are dropping like flies over. I was almost going to say Winter Park over in Egan right now. But he hasn't utilized the running game as much as we were expecting more this year.
And now Aaron Jones is done for a few weeks, which
Cam Akers is back again.
Yeah. I kind of wonder if this is the beginning of the end of Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
His career,
right?
I should say.
Yeah, this happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So he is who he is, and I guess his body probably isn't holding up. Okay,
mm-hmm.
but there wasn't a lot of Jordan Mason usage.
Yeah.
Some of it was confounding. Some of the offensive play calling was confounding, and again, maybe it's that O'Connell's working with again a new quarterback and a lot of backups, relatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to mess up your planning, but that's not necessarily entirely JJ McCarthy. This may be Kevin O'Connell. That might manifest itself yet again in Cincinnati this weekend, because there'll still be a fair number of backups. I can't remember I don't think Darrisaw's back yet. Trying to remember if they said anything, but I don't think I saw anything just yet. Christian Darrisaw is back on the offensive line. Still got to go another game without Jordan Addison too. But like, it should. And we're waiting. I'm not defensively speaking. So this is a little different. We're still waiting on Harrison Smith to get back.
Yeah, what's going on? Like an illness?
It's a personal health issue, is all they're saying, and he's talked about it. Like, yeah, I'm getting past them. I'm good. And I can't read between the lines. Hey, check out Vikings Reddit. I'm sure they've got something, some wild theory in there. I'm not sure how far I want to go with that. I don't know what that is, but I keep hearing, and anyone who's read anything, you could look it up. It's all personal health issue, and that's all anyone's going with. Okay, so, well, privacy is fine. Cool. But I guess he's about ready to come back. So I guess there's a case to be made that when McCarthy gets back, the team, by and large, barring other injuries, should be closer to where they're supposed to be. And then if O'Connell's got all his guys, the ones he was expecting to have, theoretically, then I would have McCarthy go back out again. Let's see what actually it looks like. Again, this is like a test plus kind of season. I'll go back to what I said before. You're testing McCarthy. It's test plus because you might be able to make a run if everything does work out, but you still got to get a whole season's worth of this young guy. So I'm reiterating. Bring McCarthy back, no matter what Wentz does, no matter what Brosmer does. Gosh, if it gets down to Desmond Ridder territory, have McCarthy in, because you got to find out at some point. You have to know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of follow along. So, all right. Thank you, sir.
You're
for
welcome.
Stopping by. We're going to take a quick break, get back to some more of your texts and thoughts. Hit us up, 715-830-1912. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. 6:40 first pitch tonight between Brewers and Angels, game 2 of this series. And you've got things still pretty tight in that National League race. Phillies had the come-from-behind victory last night against Ohtani and the Dodgers. Cubs getting the victory against the Pirates last night. So with the Brewers, when they did lower that magic number down just a little bit, but as we know, it's a combination of wins and losses. So you'd like to have the bigger chunks in that. But Cubs and Pirates going to be going at it this afternoon. And then, of course, a late one here with the Pirates and Phillies. So we won't know the result of well, we've got to wait to watch that one and be a late result for that. But Brewers, Angels, 6:40. Coverage will begin 35 minutes ahead of time with the pregame show on your radio dials, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. So quick look at the standings just because we're, week and a half left of the regular season. And we got some battles yet for the wild card. I mean, even division wise and in the American League, American League in that, choking up a little bit. But right now you still got Toronto with the best record in the American League. 89-62. Tigers 4-6 in their last 10 right now, falling a little bit behind. But still leading their division. Seattle's leading their division. Heck, Seattle's only a couple games back from the Tigers for potentially getting that top spot. Houston, though, right there too. I mean, the slimmest of edges between Seattle and Houston. Seattle sitting there 83-68. Houston 83-69. Cal Raleigh, man, I set the switch hitter home run record last night. Now he's got Ken Griffey Jr. In his sight. So Cal Raleigh breaking Mickey Mantle's switch hitter record, and now he's got tied up there with Ken Griffey Jr. So it's going to be weird because he's probably going to break it. But that's going to be like a trivia question probably down the road here is who leads the Mariners single season, who has the most home runs in a single season in Seattle Mariners history, and it's going to be Cal Raleigh. I mean, I don't know how he isn't the MVP over Aaron Judge. I don't know how it could be anybody else in the American League, especially if Seattle continues to play as well as they are and maybe even moves up a little bit higher in the American League standings. Like, how can you pick Aaron Judge? And I get it. Aaron Judge was putting up some amazing numbers, but I was looking at some of the latest odds here, and I'm what else does Cal Raleigh have to do to make up ground on Aaron Judge? Right now, Aaron Judge is a minus 900, and then Cal Raleigh is a plus 480. The Shohei one is like, that's over with. I mean, Shohei's minus 50,000. Kyle Schwarber is the next closest at plus 1,900. I thought that'd be close. I mean, I feel like they should be a little bit closer, but Cal Raleigh to me should be getting more love and more attention, more credit for his MVP for the season. He should be getting more love for MVP. I'm shocked that it's that wide of a gap. Like I was reading an article earlier this morning saying how Aaron Judge is pulling away from Cal for the MVP odds. I don't get it. I mean, yes, batting average, Aaron Judge 325 and home runs and that, but I look at MVP. It's like this. I feel like we have this debate all the time when it comes to the NFL and quarterbacks and importance and that. Is it best player or is it the most valuable to the team? And when we get to like quarterbacks and that, I mean, most valuable player is usually the quarterback on your teams more times than not, right? I mean, we get that. And I get Aaron Judge is leading in a lot of statistical categories over Cal. On base percentage, it's better. Slugging, it's better. Batting average, it's better. All that stuff. I understand that. I get that. But this is Cal, the position that he plays at catcher, and the team that he's on. Okay? The Mariners. getting into this playoff chase here. I mean, the expectations were already high for the Yankees this year to make a run and to get into the postseason. Nobody predicted this from Cal. And I think, yes, you had some people picking the Mariners to squeak into the playoffs. But, I mean, I don't know. If I had a vote, I'd still go with Cal. That's just my opinion. But some of the other races here. So the Yankees right now holding on to the top wild card spot. You've got Houston as that second wild card spot. Boston the third spot. Cleveland, who has won 5 in a row right now, 2.5 back from wild card spot. Texas, they've lost 3 in a row, but they're still 3.5 back. And that seems to be it. I mean, Kansas City's 7 back. Rays are 9 back in that. So, National League wise, rinse and repeat. Milwaukee, Philly, Dodgers, Cubs, Padres, Mets. Although Padres are inching closer and closer to the Dodgers. Diamondbacks are now just 1.5 back from wild card spot. Cincinnati's still 3. Giants are 3, but Giants have lost 4 in a row. Cardinals 4.5 back. It's kind of where things are at this point. So if you got to do a little scoreboard watching, I've been doing it. I mean, come on. I'm like, okay, Phillies, come on, gotta lose. I know it sucks. Got to root for the Dodgers here to just help out the Brewers a little bit. Got to root for the Pirates to help us out just a little bit. I thought this Phillies and Cubs series would be fantastic, and I mean, last night's game and such, come back in that, but right after the Phillies got to go up against a Diamondbacks team that's playing really well as of late. So there's still chances to maybe cut down that magic number for the Brewers a little bit more. Cubs, after today's day game, they're going to be going over to Cincinnati. And then after that, they've got the Mets and then the Cardinals. Now, that schedule all of a sudden becomes interesting for the Cubs here because of, well, just the standings we went through. Cincinnati, on the outside looking in, that's a huge series for the Reds. An opportunity for them to try to climb up in the standings and maybe get into that wild card chase. It's a huge series for the Reds. Because as we said, where they currently stand right now, they're 3 games back. And they're going up against the Cardinals, who are trying to get in this thing here too. But if the Reds want any shot, they got to take care of business against the Cubbies. And then you got the Mets. Now, the Mets, they're officially eliminated from winning their division. I'm looking at the Cubs schedule here. But you got a Mets team that probably doesn't want to be, I mean, they're toeing the line right now. They're just above the Diamondbacks at 1.5 games for that final wild card spot. I mean, they're 2-8 in their last 10, and that includes a 2-game winning streak right now. They're a team that, you look at last year, playing some good baseball down the stretch, and they used that momentum. They rode that momentum into the playoffs. But that series now with Cubs and Mets, and then who knows where the Cardinals are at for that final series between Cardinals and Cubs. Just looking at, let me bring up the Phillies schedule here. Wrapping it up with the Dodgers tonight. And they've got Arizona for 3 games. Miami then comes to town, and then the Twins come over to the Phillies. So really need the Dodgers to win and need to have the Diamondbacks help out the Brewers here too. It's going to be nerve-wracking. Again, Brandon Woodruff on the mound tonight for the Crew. This is why you held on to Brandon Woodruff for games like tonight and once we get into the postseason. Need some offensive support right away. Give him some early run support and let Brandon Woodruff go eat. Hopefully that offense is as aggressive as they were yesterday. All right, let's take a quick break. Talk some more football coming up, shall we? Let's do a little bit of that. All right, we'll be back in a couple minutes. Earlier in the program, when we were talking a little green and golds, 2 weeks into the season, it's a small sample size, no question about it. But who was or who is a Packers player that has maybe pleasantly surprised you with the start of their season so far? And we've had a lot of people chime in, players all across the board. Devontae Wyatt, Edrin Cooper, Keyshawn Nixon, Romeo Dobbs. It goes on and on and on. And my pick was Keyshawn Nixon. Honorable mention was Carrington Valentine. Because I'll admit it, I saw this pop up yesterday. And according to Pro Football Focus, Keyshawn Nixon leads all NFL quarterbacks with the highest Pro Football Focus grade. He's actually tied with Sauce Gardner, 85.2. And he's got the top coverage grade. So he's got the top coverage grade, overall grade. He is tied with Sauce Gardner for the best in the National Football League. Now, again, this is according to Pro Football Focus. Rewind it to the offseason, to training camp and preseason. And we looked at these position groups, and it was before Micah Parsons' trade, but it was kind of like when we asked the question, which group are you most concerned about? It might have been the defensive line group with just generating a pass rush. The other was quarterback group because Jair Alexander moves on. Green Bay's going to roll with Keyshawn Nixon, Nate Hobbs, and Carrington Valentine. And with Keyshawn Nixon being the number one corner, there was some concern. I'll raise my hand. I had concern. And when you look at the schedule and the receivers that they're going up against, it's like, ooh, is Keyshawn a legit number one? How is he going to do against Justin Jefferson? How is he going to do against Amon-Ra St. Brown, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? The schedule features a ton of really good wide receivers. And I know it's only 2 weeks in, but 2 weeks in, I'm pleasantly surprised at how well Keyshawn Nixon has been playing so far. The honorable mention was Carrington Valentine, because Carrington Valentine with an overall grade has the 7th highest overall grade, 79.3. And it looks like he's got a top 10 coverage grade too. So those two have been pleasant surprises for me for the Packers, because I'll admit it, I had questions. I mean, and I don't want to say, hey, questions are answered after 2 weeks. We're good to go. We're ready to rock. There's nothing to worry about anymore. I don't want to come off saying that. But just after the first 2 weeks, when you look at the job that Keyshawn and Carrington has done, I think it's pretty darn remarkable. But as others have noted too, and I don't think it really takes away from their job performance, but as others have noted, the pass rush has helped them out. And that is 100% correct. The pressure that the front of Green Bay has been able to provide has been a big benefit for Nixon, for Valentine, and now Nate Hobbs. But I still think it doesn't take away a lot from the job that Nixon and Valentine have been able to do. Because I think it was one texter had noted a little bit earlier. You can have, some of the greatest corners out there, but if you don't have a pass rush, corner can't cover, a receiver all, 5-6 seconds, whatever the case may be. It all goes hand in hand. It all takes one cohesive unit, one collective group. And I just wonder too, you look at that game against Washington for Keyshawn Nixon. He had 5 pass breakups, punching the ball out. You go back to training camp and preseason. What was Jeff Hafley's? What was one of his points of emphasis in training camp and preseason? It was forcing more fumbles this year. punching the ball out, doing the Peanut Tillman stuff. Charles Tillman, former Bears defensive back, who was a fantastic at punching the ball out. Kind of wonder if those drills of forcing the fumble out really came into play with these pass breakups from Keyshawn Nixon. I think you connect the dots and there's something there. But you could go down this list and you could see, first 2 weeks, there's just a different vibe. And yes, there's a lot of it is credited with the arrival of Micah Parsons. But when you bring in somebody like that, it sets the tone, it sets the expectations at hand, it pumps everybody up, for crying out loud. So yes, the vibes are going to be different. The swag is going to be there. And it just ups everybody else's game. The energy level is through the roof. Now, it's a long season, and Keyshawn is going to be going up against a lot of really good receivers for the rest of the season. We mentioned JJ from Minnesota. You look at the Eagles with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and, the list goes on and on and on. He's going to have some really tough matchups going forward. It's also going to be very dependent on, too, that pass rush to continue to help out the corners. But right now, you got to like what you see from him. And again, I'll admit, end of the year, offseason, training camp, I was a little bit nervous about Keyshawn being number one. He showed some good stuff last year. But to be elevated to number one and to be asked to go up against the Jamar Chases and the JJs twice a year and some of the great receivers that they're going to be going up against, it's a tough task. It's a tall ask. But he has been a nice, pleasant surprise for me. Everybody else who said other players like a Devontae and that stuff, you're right. Or Devontae White, you're right. Everybody's right in this. There's been a lot of players, I think, that have been nice, pleasant surprises so far for this 2-0 start. All right, let's take our final break, and then we've got picks coming up here. Will the Brewers get another win tonight? Zach says, let's get this YouTube channel popping. Thanks for the shout-outs, Dan. It's been fun. Yeah, we got to get that thing popping. Let's get it popping. I agree with you, Zach. Zach, tell your peeps to go join in the combo. We got to get this thing popping. Go join chat, or go join Zach in the chat over there, peeps. All right, quick break. We'll be back with some picks coming up after these quick words. Before we get to some picks, mark your calendars. Got to scroll all the way to 2031. Wisconsin football will open the 2031 season against Virginia Tech in the Duke's Mayo Classic at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina on August 30th, 2031. Originally was going to be at Virginia Tech. It was originally going to be played September 12th, 2031, but now will be a neutral site meeting during college football's opening weekend. Wisconsin has never played Virginia Tech. The sides are also scheduled to meet in 2032 in Madison at Camp Randall Stadium. So flip the calendars, maybe make a trip over to Charlotte at the end of August in 2031. Jeez, little less than 6 years down the line. Think Luke Fickell will still be head coach the Badger football team then? I don't know what, question there. Think he will? I don't know. All right, let's do some picks here to wrap up this program. We got baseball. Chicago taking on Pittsburgh in a getaway day game today for Chicago. Golly, I really want Pittsburgh, but I think Chicago's going to win and get the sweep. Son of a gun. Let's go Cincinnati and St. Louis. I'll ride the Reds in this one. We got Baltimore taking on the Chicago White Sox. I'll go Baltimore. Giants, Arizona. I'm going to go Diamondbacks. Atlanta and Washington. I'll go with the Braves. Cleveland taking on the Tigers of Detroit. You got Jack Flaherty going for the Tigers. Gavin Williams going for the Guardians. Boy, I'm going to go Cleveland. I'm going to go Cleveland with this one. Athletics taking on the Red Sox of Boston. I'll go Boston. Blue Jays, Rays. I'll ride with the Blue Jays. Padres, Mets. I'm going to go Mets. Yankees, Twins. I'll go Yankees. Mariners, Royals. I'm going to go with the Mariners. Rangers and the Astros. Jacob deGrom's on the mound for the Rangers, so I'll go with Texas. Miami taking on Colorado. I'll go Miami. Jesus Luzardo taking on Blake Snell. Phillies, Dodgers. Jesus or Blake Snell. Dodgers got to win one, right? I'll go with the Dodgers for this. And then Brewers, Angels, Brandon Woodruff on the mound for the Crew. I'm going to go Brewers. I'll go with the Brew Crew picking up the win tonight. Reminder, that game, 6:40. All right, 6:40. You can listen to it on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Coverage will begin about 35 minutes prior. All right. Big thanks for everybody participating, whether it was texting or hitting us up on the video streams and such. Let's do it again tomorrow. All right. I love the participation. I love chatting with you. Okay. I want to get your inputs for everybody. All right. Send them on over. Send them on over. Don't be too shy. Don't be too nervous. I want to hear your thoughts and opinions. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks, whatever the case may be. So send those on over. Let's do it again tomorrow, okay? We got Thursday. We got week 3 of the NFL season. It's going to be officially kicking off tomorrow night with the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. Boy, Dolphins, that ain't looking good, man. They might. What happens if they get blown out tomorrow night? Mike McDaniel, that clock's got to be ticking, I would imagine. But and then we got a day game for the Brewers before. Oh no, it's not a day game. It's still a night game for the Brewers before they head over to the Cardinals for. Should be a very interesting big series for both ball clubs. Cardinals still trying to stay in it. And last time those two teams will face each other at least for this regular season. So hopefully though we're talking about a Brewers win after tonight and cutting down that magic number just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Packers will be back at practice today. We'll see who's all available to practice. Maybe Zach Tom on Monday. Looked like he was part of the rehab group. Be awesome if he can get out there and practice today along with Aaron Banks and get that offensive line, that number 1 unit back in full swing. Although I feel, between the two, if I had to pick one that I want back right away, it's clearly Zach Tom. I trust Jordan Morgan over at the left guard spot if he has to fill in there, but definitely want Zach Tom back for this game against Cleveland. So, but again, they'll be back at practice today. We'll get our first glimpse of the injury report once that comes out later this afternoon. Whatever does happen, I mean, tomorrow is usually the bigger day, but if Zach Tom is out there today, maybe that bodes well for his availability to suit up on Sunday against Myles Garrett and the Cleveland Browns. So, all right, Bill Michaels is going to be up next again. Hopefully, we're talking about another Brewers win and potentially a sweep tomorrow. That'd be awesome. We'll talk some more green and gold as we get closer and closer to kickoff between this matchup against the Browns. Start to do some keys to victory, key matchups, key players. Taking a look at that. And Thursday tomorrow, we're going to debut a new segment too. So make sure you're tuning in. Where I definitely need your opinion on this. This is a very listener heavy input segment. Okay. We will reveal it tomorrow, a new segment, but I definitely need a lot of listener feedback input on it. Okay. Have a good rest of your Wednesday. Same place, same time tomorrow morning. Talk to you then.